I don't plan on putting one person at every rating tier.
You should.
I just don't want to do fucking letters anymore.
Up.
I'm sick of letters, especially listening to the Teeks podcast or video.
Oh yeah, no. The problem with
everybody's
that
a
is
B.
yeah. It's like everyone was average. It's like,
Well, the main issue with the letter grading system is everyone has to understand that you will have to, switch up the letters. There is such things as bad teams, and there is such things as teams that are better than everyone else.
I think something that like people don't understand is that like when you say something is like a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10, that means it's like average.
Yeah.
That's like, it's not good and it's not bad. Like if we like went through the fucking teams, I would give like Selby's team like a 3.
Oh, 3?
But they would have given it like a 5.
That's interesting. I would have given it lower than a 3.
Yeah, but like that's what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. I agree full-heartedly. And it's nothing on them. It's just, you want to be nice. You want to make sure that everyone's feeling good about their draft. But, we're not about that here.
No.
We're here to shit on people. Every single person here is a 6 or lower.
Oh, yeah. This is the podcast for hot takes.
All these teams are trash.
This shit is not my fault.
Every player who's playing these teams are trash.
I'm gonna say your name before I call you trash. Calvin Toma, you are trash.
But yeah, are we just gonna are we gonna consider who is playing the team?
If it's something noticeable, so like, I'm not gonna rate a villain's team based on how well they handle a ghost sweeper too much, because they don't have to face a Spectre,
I disagree.
We gotta face a Dragapult. The fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, nobody took Regidrago. What the fuck?
I know. I said.
Yeah, I know. I was telling Dan. Also, you have a Blacephalon. Fuck you. I was telling Dan to waiver it for week 2 and then just like sweep Jasper with just Scarf Outrage, because Jasper would 100% lose to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just entirely. It wouldn't even be funny.
So you understand that I've been recording and this is gonna be going live. So.
Oh, really? No.
No,
I mean, he's not gonna
it.
do it. It's not like he's actually gonna take in the time and effort to send a fucking email. It's Dan.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna account for whether or not the villains have to face a ghost sweeper, says the man with a Blacephalon trying to play these games. Fuck off, Ben. Get out of here. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Blacephalon and Dragapult. Hi.
Yeah.
Me to introduce myself.
They don't have to worry about a ghost sweeper. It's not a Spectre. A Spectre is the only man in OU, so that's the only threat. God, shut up.
So the order that we're gonna do this in, we're gonna do intros, then we're gonna do just a general survey of all the teams. I have notes on everything as well, so
I also have notes on every team.
Throw whatever takes you have in, and then once we've both kind of discussed it, then we'll just give our team evaluation phrase and put it next to the team.
I should probably because there's 16 phrases, right?
There's 16 phrases. I've put a general generally what I have ahead of time, and it might change.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. Yeah. And then if we want to like hit a break and then like open up Thomas and Bobby's battle and just break that down.
And then it's time for the scope lens.
We can do
Yeah, that's the scope lens. So we would call out the scope lens segment. Then we focus on like why did this team, kind of the breaking down like why this team won, why this team lost. Yeah. And then we'll end the podcast talking about Jamvad's 3 pillars for Pokemon, which is knowledge, skill, and awareness. We'll just talk generally about those, how they work together. And then I got the example of how
I made a penis out of this rubber band.
God fucking damn it.
But we'll have that, and then we'll just like briefly go over that and how people can kind of be aware of that as they're going into their week 1 matches.
Mm-hmm. Since everyone has...
How they can probably learn from Thomas's mistakes in his week 1 match, and how they can carry that mindset into the start of the season.
And the season as a whole. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. Are we just gonna go in order, or do we want to mix it up a bit?
Let's just go in order.
All right.
I mean, if we want to be really spicy, we could start from the back.
That's what I was thinking.
You can do that.
Just to switch things up. All right. You want to do an introduction?
Yeah. Let me know when we're ready.
We've been ready. I recorded like
cool.
a while ago.
All right. Hello, welcome to
What's
the
up,
first
gamers? It's your boy, Skinny Penis.
Isn't that right, Nando?
Welcome to
You
the
know
first welcome to the first episode of
Man,
the Wheel
a pencil is like a tree trunk to the width of my penis.
I can cut this all out. Don't worry. I won't though.
All right. Welcome to the first episode of the Wheel Pick, your first overall pick for Draft League content and the official podcast of the Midwest Pokémon League. I am Ben Schluter.
Sorry, I just want to say I got my COVID results back. I definitely had COVID over the draft. So, anyone watching this video, just heads up.
It's official. I definitely have breast
COVID.
cancer. I am Ben, coach of the Hong Kong Bronzongs, and the commissioner of the Midwest Pokémon League.
I am Pison, coach of the Portland Tail Blazers, advocate of Hariyama, and yeah.
And
Are we waiting on me? I already introduced myself.
gotcha.
You
Okay.
distinctly didn't. That's the problem here.
Anyways.
And-
No, please go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Skinny Penis.
All right, Skinny.
He's Nando Prestamon, coach of the Shanghai Sharpedos, and the only one here who doesn't have a trophy. All right.
I'm just here for fun. I haven't even looked over the teams. I can't even give rankings. I'm just here in case someone forgets something or to bring up anything fun about the teams.
So the purpose of this podcast is to, especially during the season, we just want to either break down the matches that happen each week. In this case, we have just recently drafted and the draft has been completed. So now we're taking this time to make essentially week 0 ratings of all the teams and kind of the expectations of what we expect these teams to do throughout the season.
Yes, the expectations of what we expect.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, mostly we're going to be going through every single team, giving our general thoughts, whether they be subjective or objective. We might consider the trainer behind the teams, we might not. It depends on a case-by-case basis.
That's just lame.
And ultimately, we're hoping to, give thoughts on everyone, as well as give thoughts as to what we think could change, what could have been done better, and what was done really well.
And so we'll explain what our team evaluation system is. Most podcasts or episodes that the league does use letter grading systems. We wanted to mix it up. We are taking from Pokemon Emerald's Battle Dome. And in the Battle Dome, if you've played the games, it's everybody in the brackets is rated between 1 through 16 of like a phrase. The best being the best candidate to be a champ, and the last being the team most unlikely to win. There's a lot of different phrases to kind of describe the teams. They're very mysterious and not necessarily the best way to describe teams, but it's how we like to describe it.
Your girl gave me Battle Dome.
Yes, she did.
Oh no.
Anyways, we're gonna have a graphic showing all the phrases, and then we'll just kind of have arrows pasted next to each of the phrases that we have for each of the teams. So there will be some sort of graphic that'll show that'll make it easier to follow.
Indeed.
So the Teaks started from the front of the draft, so we can go ahead and start from the back.
Yeah.
In our first team. Yeah, and our first team is Henry Bird and the Las Vegas Lycan Rocks.
What a team to start off on.
A team.
I think this is the team with the most room for change, but also the most interesting start to the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, he had the hashtag wheel pick with Tapu Lele and Alakazam back to back. And anybody who has that lead obviously has that strategy that they're going to revolve around. Then he went and picked up some Stallmons and Blissey and Corviknight, which added a little bit more bulk to the team. And it was looking pretty good. Then he picked up Salamence. Salamence by itself is a good Pokemon, but it really isn't helped in any way by having Psychic Terrain up, being that it's a flying type. So it's still getting hit by Ice Shards. It's still getting hit by Accelerock and all those priority moves. So it's really not getting any benefit from that.
Yes, all those Accelerock users. And from there, the draft just continued going downhill, in my opinion, but we can get to that. Heracross and Feraligatr, not in the wheel that he had. Obviously, it was Salamence and Heracross in the wheel, but Heracross and Feraligatr both serve the roles of being hard-hitting physical attackers. Dragalge is an interesting pickup, being a dragon poison type, but ultimately, I don't think that typing is very good on that mon, considering it sucks. Mega Camerupt and Cryogonal is a good wheel, in my opinion, but it came too late.
Yeah, Henry was talking about Dragalge in his video, talking about how it was a little bit more like another mon that had a high Spadef stat to pair with Blissey, but it doesn't really, I don't think that necessarily works how he's expecting it, because it's still got a really low defense stat, and even though it gets the ability adaptability,
Its speed sucks dick.
it's still not hitting that hard, and it's very slow. It's horrendously slow.
I mean, there's that, and the fact that its HP pool is only 65. That's
Yep.
that's kind of another very massive portion of how it's not actually that tanky.
Right.
Uh,
Mega Camerupt is his lone ground type. And in his, who's he play week 1?
Cal.
He plays Cal, who's got Raikou. Cal can essentially just throw specs on that and go to town. Because if Mega Camerupt is out of the way, then he's not really doing a lot. Especially with Raikou getting access to Scald. There's not much that is stopping Raikou from tearing through Henry's team.
Yeah, it's hard to say what Henry could do to fix this draft up because of how weak the back half was. I think he just needs either better mons just for his lower tiers, like just entirely like reconstructing his lower tier draft, or I don't know, maybe some kind of baton pass to gimmick with Lele and not Feraligatr, Salamence, sorry.
Two Dragonet's bonds with Salamence and Feraligatr.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, what I
Feraligatr,
would
think, is
do
fun. I'm glad
is
that-
I would try and drop the Feraligatr for an NU of some sort, something that doesn't matter, and then try and
can't.
switch Ment for what
He can't. Feraligatr's is only BL.
is
He has to
Corviknight not
drop
BL?
the
Nope.
UU.
Oh my god, no!
He has
Bird.
He has four OUBs, which is what the problem
Nope.
is.
Oh, no, wait. Alakazam's OUB, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, Alakazam's OUB.
Wait, is Corviknight OUB?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is what the problem is with this team. He has too many OUBs. He needs to drop one for literally anything, I feel like.
Yeah, he's in a tough position. Are there any other thoughts anything that sticks out to you on the team before we go into our rating?
I mean, I can't say anything about the team, but I can say something about the battler. I'm really hoping that Henry doesn't forget about Psychic Terrain because it is his main gimmick throughout this season. And if he forgets that he can't click priority, granted, his only priority right now, as of right now, is Feraligatr with Aqua Jet, I believe.
Yeah, that's his. He didn't put a lot of priority users on his team, so
Yeah, which is great.
There's nothing
I hope that he just realizes, because like let's say in a situation where he has Alakazam in on the Urshifu, I hope he realizes, I don't have to worry about Sucker Punch here, so he doesn't misplay horribly.
This is just something. I think a change that he could make if he wanted would be to drop the Ments, just like literally just drop it for any sort of NU, and then get rid of Mega Camera for one of the OUA Megas, be it Zardex, Gyarados, Lop.
Are there any
those are
ground
all, like,
types?
there are no ground types, but I would just say any of those
And he could always pick up an NU ground type.
is really good. Because what he can do is, like, he doesn't have to drop Ments for an NU. He can drop Ments for an RU and then just make that change. I think that would increase the power of the team by a lot. Having Gyarados in terrain works. Any sort of RU ground, like, RU has a lot of really strong ground types that you could grab.
The one that I saw was Runerigus. That would give him another ghost type. Does he have a ghost type?
He does not.
That gives him a ghost type. I think that would be an interesting pick if you were to go for an RU.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Do we?
We'll move on to the rating.
Go into the rating. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say that this is overall a weak team. I don't think that it's the worst team in this draft. We'll get to that, but I don't know. I don't see this team doing too much.
I went with the rating. 1 win would make this team proud.
It's a good one.
That's where I'll be rating there. Nando, looking at the evaluation list, do you have any? Where do you place them?
I thought a precursor of the fact that I wouldn't have to do this, so that way I can avoid it. I would say that it's overall a pretty weak team. The synergies don't actually exist within the team. You can say that the Blissey Corviknight's a really strong defensive core, but I also think that those two mons do end up to leading for a lot of things to set up. And once things set up, if you're running Lele with the Zam, you're probably trying to run the terrain extender. Sure, Zam has access to Focus Sash Magikarp, but it still results in it just not really hitting as hard because the team is very weak to speed control, and it doesn't really have an answer to that, in my opinion. So I would say that it doesn't synergize super well, and it's a pretty weak team. I would say overall a weak team.
Sounds good. With that, we'll move on to Dan Keese in the Golden State War Turtles.
My week 1 opponent.
Oh, so you've taken a little bit of a look at the team so far. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Well, let me just say right now, because I know this to be true for a fact. He drafted Sea King to beat Mega Manectric.
Oh, because it has Lightning Rod?
Yep.
Oh, so that's something he's likely going to drop then?
Yeah, I don't see that mon staying on his team. I don't know. Ultimately, I think that he has some really nice looking offense and defense on paper, but in practice, when you actually face the team, it seems, for me anyways, it seems like it's going to be really easy to break through. For his defensive mons, he has obviously the Skarmory and Florges core, which, really strong physically defensive mon, really strong specially defensive mon. You would think, oh yeah, this is going to be a really good core. Florges Wish passes into Skarm for the sturdy. It seems on paper, again, really good, except for the fact that, if you bring a hard-hitting physical fire or electric type mon, the core is dead. Or a hard-hitting, steel type mon with access to fire or electric coverage, core is dead.
No.
It all comes down to the coverage that your team has, and I think ultimately most teams have the coverage to beat this one, at least on the hero side of things. Obviously, he doesn't face any villains, so it'd be weird to...
Yeah, the one thing that I notice is just with how prevalent boots are in the meta today, the Tims as we like to call them.
Not the Tims.
Mega Pinsir is one of those mons that doesn't get access to it because it's a Mega. So Dan's going to be having to deal with rocks a lot this season. If his opponents are going to do anything right, they're going to get rocks up to make sure that's taking 50% every time. So he's going to have to be really careful about that. I think he's got a good set of choice scarfers in Mienshao and Hoopa. I don't see any other ones other than... Oh, and Crocodile as well. He's got some good choice scarf options, and he's not limited to just one. And if you want to throw in Florges as a choice scarf, I'm on it. But I digress. Other than that, that's kind of what I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of the Xerascarm core?
I'm not a fan. I think it's a bad first 2 picks, I'll say that much. But it doesn't matter that his first 2 picks were bad because his back half is so fucking strong. He got Hoopa U at what, 6th pick? 7th pick?
7th pick, yeah.
Yeah, and he got Crocodile at 9th. That's insane that those mons made it that late. So even though I feel as though those first two picks weren't good, he made up for it simply because, you know, he was watching what's on the free agents and he swooped in and took what was available for him.
I agree. Yeah. He had a really high base attack stat. He's got the highest one. It's like an average of 114.
That's because Hoopa, Mianxiao, and
Hoopa and
Pinsir all
Pinsir
boosted
those.
a lot.
Yeah.
No, I would say the team overall it's good. I think a lot of the Mons, while there is the weakness that Pison said that like it's possible to break the core. At the same time, I think that his team can apply enough pressure where it's also dangerous if he can get a good predictor, a couple switches off. I think his team is it's not well-rounded, but it does everything. It does what it needs to do.
It does what it needs to do. That was exactly what I would describe it as. It is very much a team that I feel plays to Dan's strengths as a battler, but because
get out of here,
because I've never seen Dan play with any of these mons outside of I think Hoopa, I have no idea.
What do you mean? Gramble's a signature.
Fuck it. Yeah, Gramble. Outside of Hoopa and Gramble, I've never seen him play with any of these mons. Maybe Zero Aura, I haven't been paying attention.
You see, what you're missing, Pison, is the fact that the defensive core isn't Skarmory Florges, it's Skarmory Gramble, okay?
Oh, you're right, man. They combine weaknesses perfectly. It's big brain.
Big brain.
So how do we want to rate this team?
I would say that this is a team with average potential. I think that it's going to entirely depend on if Dan decides to make any waivers, what he makes those waivers for, and how he plays.
Yeah, I had him... Oh, go ahead.
I would also say that it's a team with average potential. I think his team is... Let me check one thing. You go ahead. I am saying average potential, but go for it.
I had him listed as weaker than average. I think he's got some very good tools on the team. I'm just worried that I don't know how well he's going to be able to utilize Manaphy. It is a really good mon, but I don't know. I just don't. Looking at it at face value, I don't think it's an incredible team by any means, but it's a little bit lower than average.
Yeah, I mean, those ratings are like very close together. It's just a matter of like opinion at that point.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we have someone who's in the car right now, Ben Schluter, Hong Kong Bronzons.
Oh, hello.
Do you want to rate your team? Or do you want to
I'm just going to go ahead and say my rating right off the bat. I think this team is the most unlikely.
Oh, he had to hit me with it. The idea with this draft was knowing that I had a lower pick. I just wanted to get two things that I know I could get in the first two rounds. I've always wanted to use Excadrill. It's always been on my draft list, like every split. But I usually replace it for something else or it gets taken before. Cephalon has been a really strong sweeper as of late in the last few splits. It's stayed at OUB. I think it's the right tier for it. I really like it. I've always wanted to use Whimsicott. Whimsicott's kind of the glue of the team. With access to just strong special offense. Access to Prankster is huge. Infiltrator is another good ability as well. But also access to Memento that can give a lot of momentum in the match and allow some of my mons to start setting up the sweep. Gyarados, I really like it. It's the bulky water type that's going to help against matches against Dracovish, other strong water type users, especially against Barraskewda in week 1. So I'm excited to use that. Moltres is the dark type. It's got a high def stat, so when I do face Spectre, it is able to tank those hits. Megaladios has got access to really high special attack, but also access to a good physical attack stat at 130. This has the ability to set up with Calm Mind if it wants to go especially offensive, or Dragon Dance if it wants to get that speed stat as well. There's a lot of ways to utilize it, and it's just going to vary by week. I didn't get Buzzwole. I really wanted that, but I didn't draft it soon enough. Swan got it. So I went with Conkeldurr. It hits like a truck. Access to Guts with Flame Orb is amazing. Milotic, I didn't have it in my draft plans anywhere, but the fact that it was on the board at 9th, I had to take it. And then Jolteon was my low RU pick, just to give another electric community and to just add a little bit more speed to the team. Oh, and then I missed Nidoking. Nidoking is Ass Toys. So Ass Toys 2.0. It's a good lead. It's able to substitute. Access to Sheer Force is good. And then Standler. Now, what is a Standler? Standler is a normal type that gets access to Intimidate, Sap Sipper, and Frisk. All 3 good abilities. I'm very excited to see how I'm able to use this. Otherwise, it's just one of my favorite Pokemon, and I wanted to make it my NU.
He just lied about Standler. But yeah, one of the things that I had on this notes is, one, really strong back half. Nidoking, Conkeldurr, Melodic, and Jolteon are all mons that should not have made it this late into the draft. So good on you for obviously seeing that and picking them up. 2, not any wasted picks outside of Stantler, which was an NU, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But yeah, everything on this team is threatening. You have to prep for every single mon. It's just a given. And then 3, I think you just have some really strong combinations. For example, the Melodic Jolteon is not on paper. It doesn't seem like much, but you know, Jolteon eats electric hits for Melodic. Melodic, he eats like ground types for Jolteon and kills them with Scald. Yeah, I think that, you know, overall the team works well together, and that's what matters.
Yeah, the Teeks pointed out in their episode that I have the lowest average defense stat.
By a pretty sizable chunk.
I think I have an average of 76, and the next highest is 85. So it's pretty low. Milotic does get the Flame Orb boost if I'm running Marvel Scale, so it'll still get access to that unless they somehow doesn't get the Flame Orb. But I'm still happy with it. It's just something that I need to be aware of, and that teams will be bringing their hardest physical hitters to the match. So it makes my prep easier. I know what I'm going to be facing.
Also makes their prep easier because they know what they need to bring.
Yeah,
yeah.
Easy on both sides. My team also has 4 BLs, which are Whimsicott, Nidoking, Gyarados, and Kong. The BL Knights, as I like to call them.
The BL Knights.
The BL Knights. But yeah, that's about it.
Ratings, Ben. You would like to rate your own team first and foremost, so we can make fun of you for it.
Yeah, just because of the defense, I put it as a better than average team. It's definitely lacking in a key area, which is defense.
He thinks he's better than 9 people in this draft. That's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I see myself.
All right. Well, since you know, Nando already said he sees this as the team most unlikely to win, I'll go ahead and have the hottest take of all. I think this is a sure finalist team.
Ooh.
Really?
Oh yeah, this
That's
is a
a
really
very
strong
hot take.
team.
All right. I appreciate the word.
I think there are 2 teams better than this team, and we'll get to them.
I'm interested to hear. All right.
That's crazy. That's a crazy take.
That is.
I gotta say, if we go with like what I would actually say, I would say this is like the average team.
Well,
Might even go weaker than average, honestly.
Yeah, that's not too far off.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We got the PPs, Ethan Porter, and the Pittsburgh Pidgeots.
He's the Pittsburgh Persians in my heart.
Golf claps in the chat from mainly the villains.
Let me go ahead and just preface this with my notes. It says stall, question mark, stall, exclamation mark, stall, period. I hate this team.
I do think
go ahead.
One thing that is like super interesting about Ethan's team, or something that I find is really fun about it. So there's obviously all the stall mons, right? But then when people bring stall, you want to bring in like your setup mons or your wall breakers with like life orb and choice bands and specs and shit. But then like Mega Pidgeot's back there, and if you're not prepared, like that mon can like actually dent most teams just through the use of Hurricane by itself. Sure. Also, there's haha ditto. Nice job setting up, but like these mons can actually pack a surprising amount of firepower if they want it. You have the SD Gliscor. You have just Specs Heatran. I doubt he's gonna run any of that, but like a lot of these like stall mons can kind of like flip it on its head, and I think that if it's used correctly can get him some surprise wins.
I think that like you said, all these mons have a lot of offensive potential. I would say every single Stallmon has offensive capabilities on this team, which I think is why he stayed away from Blissey, Corviknight, and Pex, because they don't have offensive potential. But it's going to really rely on how Ethan preps and plays. I know that he likes to drag things out and make his opponents suffer, so I don't see him bringing offensive sets on these mons, but you never know.
Yeah, heroes will need to be patient in their matches. Ditto definitely prevents you from just kind of setting up with whatever setup mon you've got.
I fully expect Ditto to be on his team every single week. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a really good mon. You can fight it with Substitute if you've got the right set in the right moment, but most of the time it's going to be causing problems for your setup sweepers.
Yeah. Do we want to just skip into a rating, or do we want to talk more about this team? Because I feel like it's a pretty simple team compared to
we have a lot of teams, so I think we can get right into it. What do you think?
I would say that this is a better than average team. However, I don't know if Ethan will be able to use the team to its full potential.
I had the tournament's average team. I think just because he's taking from a lot of... He was essentially the vacuum for the villains and how he obtained these. He took everything that the villains don't want to face, and they're still really good mons. It's just a really fat team, and Stall has had its issues in the league, but I think it's a wild card. He could play out of his mind, or he could just wear out the heroes enough but still take losses. So I'm excited to see what he ends up doing, because there's a lot to work with here.
Yeah, crazy. Looking at it, I do actually like Ethan's team a bit more than Ben, so I will have to say that this is a team of average potential. Mm-hmm. That's like... Man, that's weird to say.
Weird to say that the vacuum is better.
Yeah, because like, again, I'm not someone who like rates like having like a full well-rounded like 11-mon team. Throughout the league, I have gone more and more into you just need like
a core of 6,
like 6 or 7 really good mons, and then just a couple of like situational ones, and Bellowetta and Carbink all fit into like the situational bag. And yeah. I think just that core stall pieces of shit with a couple of back sweepers is actually really good. Yeah.
Moving forward, we have Jasper Fleming, and I cannot stress this one enough, the Chicken Pessimians.
Yeah. The Chicken Pessimians.
The Chicken Pessimians. I hate that. Look, man, it's a Jasper team. He drafted every single like core mon that you would expect Jasper to draft. Minior's on this team, Kangaskhan's on this team, Breloom's on this team. It is a Jasper team, full and full.
Yeah. Just a couple of things to point out, because I've been doing prep for him. He doesn't have a dark type. He doesn't have a fairy type. His one ground type is Donphan.
He does have a fairy type. Ninetales Alolan.
Oh, Ninetales. Yes. Okay. Sure. Alolan Ninetales. Yeah. Okay. The team has too many gaps, especially with their Alolan Ninetales is the fastest mon, but like it's not like Alolan Ninetales can like revenge kill anything ever with its 90 Spec A, right? What a power mon. Oh, 81 Spec A, my bad. I was a bit overzealous with my rating of Alolan Ninetales power. Overall, the team is just, it's lacking too much. It's lacking speed. It's lacking like a good special wall. There's just too many gaps in it.
I agree. I think that there is some potential with the Ninetales Alola, Aurora Veil into Ninja's Baton Pass or Volcarona QD. It's just the ideas are there, but they're either not fully fleshed out enough, or like there's not enough mons to build off of that with, because he has so much wasted potential in picks like Dusknoir, Escavalier. I think even Toxapex is wasted on this team. I think that it should have been like something more hard hitting as an OUA. I'm pretty sure Mew is still on the board. Mew would have fit on this team perfectly instead of Reuniclus, and then you could trade out Reuniclus for something like, I don't know. I actually don't know what's in BL. Regidrago, there it is, right there.
Yeah, Regidrago instead of Reuniclus could actually add like a really powerful Scarf threat to the team.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good individual mons. Obviously, Volcarona, Mega Kangaskhan. It's just they don't all work together. There's not a lot of synergy on this team. I am interested to see how he does use Ninjask, but there's not a lot of things you need to pass speed to, unless you wanted to do like...
The only mon that could like really utilize it is if you have like a max HP, max attack con, and that way it can like potentially tank a couple hits while you get some power up punches up. But it's not like you need to speed pass into Volcarona. Like, again, speed passing is it's more of a gimmick of like you want to pass it to a mon that has a lot of HP and a lot of firepower, but is just lacking the speed to do it. Like, for example, Kamo is a great mon. Conquilidor is a great mon. Just mons like that, but no mon on his team fits that category other than Con. Because like when you're doing the baton pass, you have to realize that whatever you're baton passing to is the mon that's going to be taking the hit. Your Ninjask isn't going to be taking a hit from on the turn that a baton passes, right?
It's too fast. It's
too fast, and there's just nothing here that can like accept it. Other than maybe Reuniclus, I would be interested to see if he ever like passes to Reuniclus and then does like stored power shenanigans, but we'll see.
We'll see.
The big bulky mons he does have are just too slow that if you got like +2 on it, it wouldn't mean anything.
If you get +6 onto Reuniclus, it would be sitting at a solid, what is that, like 384 speed? If you're like min speed, max HP.
If you're min speed, keyword.
I'm not saying like minus speed investment. I'm just saying like if you're just 0 in speed.
Yeah, I understand. I agree full-heartedly. Another thing to note: this is a team that has to run heavy-duty boots on 2 mons to make it function. Like, I think that drafting Ninjask and Volcarona was a bit of a mistake because of that. Granted, heavy-duty boots is great, you know. It allows drafts like this to basically be like, oh shit, I fucked up, JK. But, you know, the fact that you're basically forcing 2 items onto what should be very offensive mons kind of sucks.
As far as ratings, I had this as a team with very low potential.
I think that this is the worst draft this time around.
Out of the 18?
Yeah. Just glancing over and just like double checking, I think it's the worst draft.
I have it as a team unlikely to win the tournament, so second worst. I think, again, 2 waivers, this team becomes like maybe top 10. I wouldn't put it in the top half, but I put it in the top 10.
It would definitely get it in the right direction.
Yeah. Now, whether or not Jasper is willing to make waivers, we'll see. If you're listening to this, we gave you your 2 options. Moving forward, Salvi and the, Chesapeake Bay Haluchas?
Bay Haluchas.
Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to spoil it. This is the worst team, in my opinion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's 1 waiver away from doing something, you know? It's an Alolan Raichu away from...
It is an Alolan Raichu away from being a team. Until it gets that Alolan Raichu, this is not a team. This is a hodgepodge of 11 mons where 2 of them work well together and everything else just sucks. If you're wondering, the 2 was Tapu Koko and Hitmonlee.
Yes, those 2 work really well together.
Maybe Xurkitree if you want to add that in there.
I'm currently prepping for this team.
So you have more to say than me, probably.
Barraskewda hits hard. He's got his first 3 mons are incredibly fast mons.
Oh,
Mega
yeah.
Aerodactyl being the fastest. The fact that Tapu Koko is his third fast mon it speaks to the speed that he has on this team. And then if you get Hitmonlee in the electric terrain with the electric seed, then he's the fastest thing on the field. He's definitely using speed to his strength, but then he's also got mons like Ambipom as well. Xurkitree can get a little bit of speed up with a Scarf. A lot of speed. That's the one thing that I've been noticing. What else?
But he's not even the fastest team in the draft. That's what my problem is with that.
Because he's got a lot of slow
because
mons.
that's because Fortress and like Palace
Fortress and
Tangela
Porygon
exist,
slow
you know.
him down.
Yeah, they drag him down. Much like the back half of this draft, ironically speaking.
Well, like, see,
I have a
that's-
lot to say about this draft, but I'm gonna be repeating a lot of points. I think that the back half is super weak.
Personally, I think to benefit the villains, I could see Barraskewda moving over to the Sharpedos
Oh,
to
yeah.
benefit that rain draft,
Oh yeah.
and possibly something that he could do. That's a villain decision, but that would be the best for your comrade team. But
Yeah.
Barraskewda is still putting in work on this team. It's just also a physical mon that stands next to Aerodactyl.
Yeah, my thing for changes that could be made to the team are you get rid of Zerk for the Raichu, right? But then getting rid of Zerk for Raichu will give you enough points where you could toss out let me just check his team to make sure
He
he
can
has
get an OUA Mega if he wants.
the points. I'm not saying like an OUA Mega. He would if he got rid of you get rid of Xurkitree for fucking Alolan Raichu, or you get rid of like the Duraludon for Alolan Raichu, then you
Yeah.
can just swap Xurkitree for any of the current ones that are up there.
The OUAs.
Be it, any of the OUAs, be it the Lotties or Dragonite.
Both regular Lotties are still on the board. For this
Yeah.
draft,
Yeah.
but you're
Like
expecting
both
them
of
to
the
go.
Lotties there are pretty good. H Slash would work too. And that's really just the most simplistic change that you could make to the team. I do like P2 Fortress is actually a bitch to kill. Like that's a tough thing to break. And then when it comes to, I don't know, the more I look at it, the more I do like the team a bit. Like, let me just check one thing. If you guys have anything to say it so that I can look something up.
Look, these are the waivers that I would make if I had this team, right? Xurkitree for, I think, Aegislash, just because it gives a lot of, bulk to this team that needs it. Yeah, also,
Yeah.
Aegislash plus Porygon 2, I think, is one of the best defensive cores in the game. It's only
Yep.
weak to knockoff, and your team's pretty good against knockoff. Then from there, you drop Duraludon, like we stated earlier, for Alolan Raichu. And I would honestly say probably drop Aerodactyl for... What's the best OUA Mega? Maybe Medicham, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I was checking just to make sure, like, if we want to look at the team in like a different way and say that it's like a bit unconventional, having access to, I guess I'm gonna call it Kelly switch between Fortress and Porygon to just get in your fast mons like as safely as possible. Like, he has that available to him.
Yeah, he does have access to really good momentum. So
Yeah,
it's gonna
like
be...
Fortress and Porygon 2 are two of the best momentum mons right now for sure. And access and being able to basically just then hard switch in whichever, be it Koko, Aerodactyl, Barraskewda, or Hitmonlee, will take out the threat that's in front of it, I think is very powerful.
I actually was not aware that Porygon 2 got teleport. That biases my pick
Yep.
on that mon a little more.
I do think that but like in terms of just like, oh yeah, we'll take a hit, but then we're also going to go into the exact thing that will be able to like avenge it, is very dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as ratings go, this team has the opportunity to turn into something really good. It does have a lot of really good tools right now, but it's about getting to that point where it is at a good team. And with Salvi still being a very inexperienced battler, I've got this listed as a weaker than average team.
I've already stated that I think this is the team most unlikely to win. I still stand by that despite the points that have been raised. 3 waivers, team becomes probably, I would say, a weaker than average team, maybe a team with average potential. But until those 3 waivers are made, I hate this.
Yeah, I mean, that was more of a devil advocates. I will say that it's a team with low potential. I do think it's slightly better than Jasper's team, simply due to the fact that he has 2 of like the thickest fucking walls and then just really, really fast hitting stuff. But we'll see how that actually works out.
Perfect.
And then on to the bog itself. The bog. So a couple of things. So it's obviously a very Quinn draft with access to the Girder, Miltank, and Umbreon. No one's really surprised at that. The Mega Scizor is a good old throwback to the hero who isn't with us.
R.I.P.
But then
Rip in
if
peace.
you go into like the actual thing that's like really weird about this team is the Bulu Chomp. Like Bulu Victini, sure, Victini can then take an EQ, and it's actually is like pretty strong. You can get up Z celebrates with extra bonuses or whatever there. The Bulu Chomp's obviously really weird. I do think something that's kind of cute about it nowadays is I don't know why people aren't running it on the ladder, but with the Chomp, if you are scale shotting and they switch in their fairy type, you can then just Stomping Tantrum. So like you do still have, it's not as bad, right? Because you can still Stomping Tantrum while you're in the grassy terrain. But the Mon's just like, that doesn't seem like a really good synergy there. Other than that though, this team is just, it's bulk. It's fucking thick.
I know you were speaking to Quinn before the draft happened. Was he planning on going for Garchomp originally?
No. It was one of those like, it was there, I'm gonna take it. I think the original was just
the
Victini.
vibe I felt from the first 3 picks, because I know that Victini was not he didn't expect it to make it back to him.
Yeah.
So he picked it up when it was there, and I'm sure that Bulu was the same, and that's why those first 3, they work, but not that well.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
not like a
Garchomp
pre-planned draft. Those are the Mons where it's like, they got to me, I'm gonna do it, right?
Yeah. Like Garchomp and Teeny, good core. Victini and Bulu, good core. Garchomp and Bulu, not so hot. But, he can waiver. I honestly think this is one of the few teams that benefits from Dragonite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Dragonite went undrafted. It's a really good boots user in this meta.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it in,
How many
I believe, 5 seasons?
Yeah,
Maybe 4.
it wants to be back. Just somebody.
Did I not draft it last season?
No.
Really?
You wanted to, you didn't. Zach
Oh.
also wanted to and didn't.
Oh, all right then.
The one mode that I am aware that he liked on this team was how Meltank's Thick Fat covers for Chomp and Mega Scizor with their ×4 weaknesses. So that's a nice little tech there. That's fun. He does have Umbreon. He's very familiar with Umbreon. That provides really nice cleric support on the team as well. And then there's Girder. Girder's fun. That thing gets defog.
Yep.
I think it's.
I will say I'm
go ahead.
not a fan of the Umbreon Miltank, but again, the gimmick of the Miltank was to take the hits for the Scizor and the guard jump, which is cute.
It's interesting that you think it's the Umbreon Miltank that you're not a fan of, because I think it's more the Umbreon Bulu that he was going for. And going off of that, I would like to say that I feel as though this is a team where he tried to use every next pick to build off of what was previously drafted. Garchomp, Teeny, Bulu, Umbreon, Rotom Wash, Mega Scizor. Like, just looking at that, I feel like that was what his general idea was going into this draft. And ultimately, I think it's a good team. We'll see what happens. I think it's a very Quinn team as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Going into the ratings.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna say this is a team with the ability to finish first, a candidate team to finish first.
Yeah. I had him as a team with top class potential, right around that same area.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, yeah, team of top class.
Yeah.
Or candidate to finish first, either of those.
They're
It's
pretty
a
much
good
the same.
all-around team. He'll have success with it.
Oh,
Going into our next tier 1.
Right before we do that,
yeah.
congrats to Quinn for making top 100 in Ranbats, apparently.
Oh yeah, he just posted that. I saw that.
Yep. So just good timing.
Venusberg.
Right. Yep.
All right. Going into our next tier 1 battler is Brendan Tickle and the Los Angeles Lake Spirits.
I have completely turned around on this team.
2231.
That's his number?
2231. That's the rating.
That's hot.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Tickle. Tickle drafted Tyranitar again.
Oh yeah, Tyranitar Webs. Let's go. Whew. I've completely turned around on this team, by the way. When I went out of the draft, I thought this was bottom 5. I now think it's like pretty high up there.
It's a standard Tickle team.
Oh yeah.
With an actual sand mode to it, with Dracozolt being on the team.
Mm-hmm. Dracozolt.
And
I like the Rillaboom Zygarde core, because Zygarde obviously is one of the few ground types that doesn't use Earthquake.
Yeah, so 1,000 Arrows is not weakened in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good pairing. He's got Tentacruel again. Tentacruel's a staple Lake Spirit pass splits.
So is Wobbuffet.
He's got a lot of access to hazards, just with Orbeetles, Webs. He's got Tentacruel's Toxic Spikes. I'm pretty sure... Oh, and then Rocks from T-Tar. And then I'm pretty sure Frostlass gets Spikes.
Yep.
So, a lot of different options there. Hazards galore. And then, like you mentioned, Wobbuffet's there, and people need to be ready for it, because Tickle will know what he's doing with it.
Oh yeah.
Pardon me, gentlemen. I'm gonna have to dip for a second.
All good.
Sounds good.
Of being an adult.
Good luck with that.
No. So as I think we said with Ethan's team, Ditto's just a mon that you can bring every week and double down something guaranteed. Wobbuffet's in the same boat. You bring it, you double down with something, potentially 2 things with Custap Destiny Bond, and then with the offensive abilities of Rillaboom, Zygarde, Dracozolt if it's in sand, or even if it's not, Hustle, Scarf, Bolt Beak does a lot of damage regardless. And then on the special side, he has Gengar, Mega Gardevoir. This team is a team that on paper, if you're just looking at it, you're like, this is a lot of weird picks. But if you actually go into the thought process of how it's going to be built in battles, it really comes together as a team. And I think that is Tickle's strongest strength as a battler.
It's really a nuisance to play.
Oh yeah.
He's got a way of putting mons that don't look like they should work together and putting them on a team, making them work. Even with this draft, there are still things that work really well together, especially with, like you mentioned, Rillaboom and Zygarde, 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Obstagoon's neat. It's his... Oh, no, sorry, he's got 2 dark types. But he's got a really big weakness to Ghost, I believe. From that. Yeah, it's a times 16 weakness to Ghost, with 1 immunity being Obstagoon and 1 resistance being Tyranitar. So those 2 do a good job of covering that up, mostly, but because they will be coming to every match. But at the same time, that's something he needs to be aware of.
Yeah. He really stole that Obstagoon from me. Kind of mad to this day.
It's a good Argumon.
It's a really good Argumon. Well, I don't want to move on without Nando, but I also don't want to sit here forever. So
yeah, I think we got to keep moving. He'll join in when we can.
Yeah.
I actually had, just because of that weakness, I had this listed as the Dark Horse team this tournament.
Oh, interesting.
A little bit lower than probably. What do you have it in?
I have it as a team with top class potential. I think it's a little bit worse than Quinn's, but ultimately still really solid team.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure Nando would agree
Ooh.
as well. Moving forward, we have the most hero of us all, Pokemon Fan 333, Mike Burke, and the Marseille Mawwiles. This is an interesting team for sure. Every time I look at it, I'm not entirely sure how I feel, because my opinion is constantly changing about this team. Sometimes I think this is one of the top 5 teams. Sometimes I think this team needs a lot of waivers to even be functional. So, what are your thoughts?
This is Mega Garchomp's opportunity to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Just finally getting access to Scale Shot. There was a lot of debate whether to place it in the OUA Megas this time. We kept it at OUB, so we were expecting it to be something that was sought after in this draft, and now it's getting its opportunity. So yeah, Mike's got the second sand team that we're covering. It doesn't have to run sand is the big thing. The Powdon Mega Garchomp obviously pair well together, but with heavy hitters like Melmetal and Keldeo and Rotom Heat, and that's just like on the top of the list. He's still got some really good hard hitters at the bottom as well. He's able to build teams that don't need to rely on sand. So it's not going to be too easy to prep for his matches, but yeah, that's kind of my first thoughts on it.
I really like the Stoutland pick. I think Stoutland's basically a necessary component of sand, being an NU Sand Rush Mon that can also run Intimidate and Scrappy, I believe. Two really good abilities. So just having that option available, most teams should, if you're going for sand, you should very highly value Stoutland as your NU pick, and I'm really happy he did that. Keldeo is a very interesting mon. Obviously, it got flip turn access coming into the split, so that means that it does form a Volt turn core with Rotom Heat and Mandibuzz and Serena, if you want to add that in there. Melmetal, as you said, very hard hitting physical attacker. Rotom Heat and Keldeo, very hard hitting special attackers. My biggest concern, there's very, very lack of speed on this team. His fastest mon is Lycanroc, and that does not.
What does it get
well.
to? 350?
350 on that variant. Which, not a slow mon in any way, but it's his RU pick. Obviously, Keldeo is 346, but that's outsped by most Scarf mons. And really, if his Scarfers, the only ones that he would really want to run Scarf would be Keldeo and maybe Rotom Heat. So, I don't know. Speed seems to be a very big problem on Mike's team. I know that he was gunning for that Dragozolt and got it sniped by Tickle, so that's probably why it is such a concern.
Yeah, I can think of like 4 mons that are on villains teams that are in that 370 range as far as speed. Tornadus, Cinderace, Spectrier, Mega Pidgeot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of teams that he'll be facing that just flat out outspeed him.
Yeah.
So something he needs to be aware of. Galarian Slowbro kind of stands alone on this team. Unless I'm missing something, I don't really think it synergizes well with the rest of the mons.
I think that Galarian Slowbro is a mon that he wants to prove works in the draft format, and he's going to have to do a lot of convincing. Ultimately, I think it pairs decently well with Mandibuzz and a defensive, as like purely defensive standpoint, being a physical defensive mon with Regenerator. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think that Slowking would have fit better on this team. Obviously, he did not get the chance to get it, so.
Nando, do we have you back in the call?
Yeah. Defensive mon, what do you mean? He's running Quick Claw every week.
I know, and I really dislike
that mon's gonna belly drum and sweep whole ass teams. Just you watch.
We wish. We heroes wish. We know that he's not gonna get the proc.
Yeah. As far as ratings, I have him as a better than average team. There's a lot to work with. He's definitely got a mode that this team follows. And there's a lot of really good mons that hit hard. It's just a matter of whether he can make them work and pick up wins with it.
I would have him as the tournament's average team. Again, there's a lot of things that work here. There's a lot of things that don't. I continuously flip-flop around on whether or not this team is good or not, and I think that puts him directly average.
Nando, what do you think?
I would put this as the tournament's average team, I think.
You want to give your rating on Tickle as well?
It's weird. He has a lot of mons that I don't like. It's not even that I don't like. I just don't think are like that strong. I would probably put that at better than average.
We had it as a top class and dark horse, so yeah, we're all on the same page on Tickle's team. It's one of the better teams. We're a bit undecided on where it goes.
Gotta stop playing randoms. What the fuck did you send me, you dumb piece of shit child?
Moving on.
Have to be the dumbest sister that I've ever had.
You're the only sister.
You fucking...
Sam Swanson and the Minnesota Vikings are next. The fish is back.
And he's better.
He was
than
the
ever.
first to draft the fish when it was released. He's got it again. I really like his team.
Agreed.
I think the fact that he was able to cap his draft with Swellow is awesome because that's a mon that can run special or physical, and it's got a really good speed stat.
It's very indicative of how well his draft went that it ended on Swellow, I feel like.
Mega Aggron is, I think, the best BL Mega. Doesn't compare to Mega Houndoom, though, but it's still really good Mega for what it's worth.
You
and
could
opened
argue
up a
Mega
lot.
Bandit's better, and you could even argue that Mega Bandit's better for his team. I like the Mega Aggron, though.
This
Yeah.
fucking idiot copy pasted the text file like name, like the file name, and then sent it to me.
Landers Incarnate's pretty good.
Look at you trying to transition. So anyways, yeah, Lando's pretty good. No, if I may, because I was sitting next to Swan the entire draft and he was telling me what he would go for beforehand. Every single time he was like, oh, what about this mon? I was just like, fuck, I wish I had Swan on my team. Because Swan is definitely someone who understands the draft, like, at a fundamental degree, better than most people. And I think that shows when he drafted Seismitoad's 6th pick, even though, you know, Seismitoad isn't a 6-mon pick, because he knew that he needed that mon on his team, and he knew that it potentially couldn't make it back to him, he picked it up, and he knew that he would find, you know, mons like Necrozma, Toxtricity, and Swellow later. And he did.
Yeah, Seismitoad, it's got a good typing. I feel like it would work better on other teams, but typing wise, I agree. I think just on top of all the mons that we listed, he's got a Mimikyu to cap it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mimikyu is essentially a reset button for any team that it's on. If something gets out of hand, it can just be there to kind of make things better and reset whatever momentum that they had. So the fact that he's got that to work with, the heroes are going to have a tough time facing this team.
Yeah. Also, you're sleeping on the Seismitoad. It can Rain Dance, set up its own Swift Swim, and then when it dies, Dracovish gets to come in with Rain.
Oh my god, guys, I can't believe that we're playing in a Dynamax meta.
It can just Rain Dance naturally. Because it
it
doesn't need to run a 4th move most of the time. Stealth Rock, Scald, Earth Power. What's the 4th move? Protect? Toxic? Just run Rain Dance. Booster Dracovish.
Necrozma looks really good as well. It has so much potential in what it can run: physical, defensive, special. You never know what it's gonna do, and with a team like this, it can fill so many roles.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the weakest thing on his team is probably Grimmsnarl, just to give him the dark type. Unless I'm missing. No, it's his only dark type.
I mean,
the good news is it's great for covering the Lotties. It's like the hard counter to Lotties. It's just neither of the Lotties were drafted, so it helps against the one Mega, which is mine. But
Ben, you're thinking about this from a draft perspective when he's thinking about it from an OU perspective. What does Grimmsnarl do in OU? It clicks screens.
Yeah.
That is why he drafted it, and I think like that's incredibly dangerous. When, I mean, granted, his setup mon is Necrozma. Dracovish can't set up. Landorus sucks at setting up. I think that it could have been better drafted as a team. Oh, I guess Toxtricity as well, but still ultimately really strong draft. I think that anyone facing this team has to be scared of it.
Yeah, we'll get right to it. It's a sure finalist team.
I also have it as a sure finalist team. Don't think it's the best team, but I do think it's a team that's better than Ben. As mentioned that there were two. This is one of them.
Nando, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure finalist. Let me go over. I actually don't have that many teams that I would even put above it.
I'm pretty sure it's my highest rated team.
Yeah, I think this would be my best pick candidate to be champ, actually.
Yeah, if it's your highest, then it's the best candidate.
Yeah.
I personally don't think any of the teams fill that number one spot of most likely best candidate to be a champ, but definitely this is, I think, the best team
Yeah, I would say
out of all my 18.
Yeah, I would say it's this.
I think there's one better, but now that I'm hearing that you both disagree, I'm very interested to see what you guys think about my one better.
I mean, I do have, the one better hasn't been hit yet, but
It's about
we'll get to that in a bit. No spoilers, guys, no spoilers.
Moving on, we'll get to Tyler Esposito and the Hartford Wailords.
Let me just like precursor this. I didn't know that he was drafting Rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I did, I would have gone. I would have grabbed Swampert on the wheel.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it would have been Torn, Alecki, Swampert, but we'll get to that too.
Yeah, so, two teams drafted Rain, much like two teams drafted Sand. Obviously, they both fucked each other over, but in this case, it was so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
I think that Politoed is the better Rain setter. I've said it before. I'll say it again. However, I don't like Politoed on this team, honestly. I guess I know he didn't have a choice. I don't like Politoed on this team. I feel as though, as a Rain team, this team suffers from a lot of issues. But as a regular team, he has a lot of, on paper, really good mons. Kyurem, really strong mon. Greninja in the last pick is insane. Volcanion and Zapdos are both really good defensively and do their typings. It's just the fact
so
that
my
this is a Rain
issue
team.
with the Greninja in the Rain is that I almost feel like it competes with the Volcanion as the
Special water type.
Special water type. I really don't like Volcanion here.
Yeah,
I think it could have been switched with like really almost not sure what else, really. It's hard to say what else. Like, sure, if you want a strong, I think you're looking for the strong like special water attacker, right? At which point I think Ash Ninja is just better.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Like, I think
you should probably just straight up switch with him.
I probably should.
Yeah, because like I think if you can replace Volcanion and Greninja with a single Ash Ninja and then open yourself up for something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest knock on the draft. Zapdos is obviously really powerful in Rain. In OU, it's overtaken Torn simply due to the access of powerful thunders and the ability to static stuff if it ever needs it to. But Thunder, Hurricane, Weather Ball, with two of those being Stab, and then one of those being Weather Boosted, which is basically just Stab. You're looking at a mon where normally, if you go with like normally attacks have like a base power of 80 to 90, where everything is, hitting 130 instead, you're looking at just a 50% damage increase compared to normal. And like, yeah, sure, you want the Rain up because otherwise you're going to be dealing with misses and all that. But that's the purpose of the Rain team. That was one thing that I actually, when the Teaks were going through their stuff, Bird was saying that like, oh, what happens when weather goes down? It's like, well, the gimmick is that you have to play around weather, right? Like when you draft a weather team,
you don't let the weather
or when
go
you
down.
go hard into it, like you understand what you're getting yourself into, you know?
Mhm.
Like, the same thing can be said about if you draft a terrain team. I'm making a fucking jab at you, Bird, and I know you're gonna watch this. The same fucking issue kind of applies. But I think you do just play around the fact that you will have your weather up. And I think that Swampert and Zapdos in rain are insane.
Oh yeah.
Like like those two mons by themselves justify having like an NU. It's not an NU mon because Politoed is UU, right?
Mhm.
Or are you?
Politoed's UU.
Politoed's UU. It's justifiable to have a mon whose only purpose is to be a damp rock and then die. You know.
What is my purpose? To rain dance. Oh my god. No, what I was gonna say, because I mentioned Kyurem's a really good mon on its own right, Dragon Dance, but more importantly, I think Specs Freeze Dry to beat Bulky Waters is, you know,
That's really big,
fucking
yeah.
strong. Granted, he has the Zapdos. Again, the one knock on this team is Volcanion. Not only was it picked really fucking early, he had an idea for what he wanted, and then he just did not, like, change from that idea at all, which that's not how I draft, obviously. If it works for you, it works for you. That's not how I draft. And I disagree with Volcanion as a whole. I understand the purpose of it. It's a fire type that does not lose out from having rain setup because it has water absorb and water type moves, but not a fan.
What if it was Keldeo instead?
Ooh, that would be really interesting.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Keldeo
but-
on this team would be fucking nasty.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think
but-
Keldeo would have been a much better choice. That's really like the only knock against it, you know?
Yeah.
I
do
really like
think
Amoonguss on this team.
Oh no,
Oh,
Amoonguss
yeah.
is great.
Amoonguss is great. I think the problems do come in later down the line. I think the Aerodactyl is not great at all for this team. I don't know what it could possibly achieve in the team, right? You're not looking for speed control. You have Mega Swampert. Like, that's not a problem. You're not looking for like a setup mon with DD because you're not using Aerodactyl for that. You have Kyurem. That seems wasted. But again, when it comes to like these late picks, like who cares if they're wasted, honestly? I do think it's a much less okay when you have access to rain and you could have just grabbed something like Ludicolo, you know, like grab a couple of extra Swift Swim mons that can do other stuff.
Yeah, at this point in the draft, instead of Aerodactyl, he could have gotten Ludicolo. He could have gotten,
Yeah.
I think, Kabutops was still on the board at this time, or you might have taken it just then.
Yeah, I think I had just taken it. But there's like a couple of other Swift Swim mons that you can grab, you know? Like, I'm just saying that, like, in rain, your NU mons, like the mons that you want to, like, swap in and just have are mons that can utilize rain,
So,
you know?
Kabutops wasn't available. Dreadnought was, Omastar was. We're giving you ideas for what to waiver, by the way, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're hearing this, Tyler, which I'm sure you are, what else are you doing on a Monday night? Tuesday night, whenever this gets uploaded? Go ahead and take our advice. Shoot Ben a little email. Say, hey, you know what I want.
Overall, it's a really dummy thick team that has a really powerful mode in rain. I have it listed as a candidate team to finish first. That is
really
the fourth one. That's the fourth, not like the overall biggest one.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
I think it's the rain itself. It's hard to fuck that up.
That's fair. We'll get to that though. I personally have this as a team with average potential. I think that Tyler is a pretty good battler, as shown by the fact that I think he was a finalist in the last season. He can go far with this team if he plays it right. However, I think on paper the team doesn't look that good. I can't lie about that.
Nando?
Nando wants to just not say anything about this team. He's still steaming.
I would go ahead and put it as the dark horse team of this tournament. I think it's good. I do think that Goodra, Kyurem, while they do accomplish different jobs, it's rough having two bulky dragon types. That would be another change that I would make. Overall, it's strong. I just think that there were a couple issues with how the draft turned out, even though he did get, I would say, the stronger with just Mega Swampert itself making the rain team better. I think there are flaws elsewhere in the draft, so I have to mark it like lower. Dark horse, maybe better than average, simply due to that. I think that if it was better planned out, you could have gotten a better draft.
He did really well. Like, it was a huge statement to make it to the finals in his first ever split.
Oh yeah.
For him to do it again, that would be something.
It'll really cement whether or not he'll be like a top tier battler in the future if he can do it again.
Yeah.
Because if he does it twice, like there's no debating that he's at least like a top 8 battler in the league.
Yeah, prodigy status for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. We have Hyper Arrogance.
Boobert.
Boobert Hoon, the Denver Darkrais. This is probably I think it's one of Bobby's best drafts.
Yeah, agreed. This is the one draft without Entei, and I think it's probably his best draft in a long time. Whether or not that says anything about...
Cinderace. He has Cinderace.
But it's not Entei.
Placement.
It's not Entei. That's a lot, because Bobby's thing is he drafts the same Mon every single season, and, you know, it's a good Mon, but, you know, the fact that he's drafting with one less Mon every single season is kind of held him back, I feel like, and, you know, this team really shines. Celesteela, Dugtrio, Mega Altaria, it's a core that is proven time and time again to be extremely strong both defensively and offensively. I expect it to prove once again that is that. The Galvantula for webs to support things like Cinderace, Zapdos, Nihilego, and Mega Altaria. Again, really strong. Also, he's very comfortable with Galvantula. He's had it before. I fully expect him to use it well.
And to answer a statement from Mateek's video, he didn't settle for Gastrodon. Gastrodon was his first pick for a water ground type. I think it's one of the better water ground types.
Me and Ben go back and forth on whether or not Quagsire is better. I think on this team, Gastrodon's for sure better.
Gastrodon it's very good. It is the water immunity, and I think what's it called? Sticky Hold. Sticky Hold is a great ability, especially with how effective knockoff is in the league format. Just having that switch in and take knockoff for 65 base damage and not losing your leftovers, that's just a really nice bulk to have with a very offensive team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the team it hits all the hallmarks of the hyper offense with Nihilego, Zapdos, Cinderace. But then the crazy thing is that a lot of these mons can also just play a different role entirely. Like Cinderace can be like a weird court change piece of shit. With like U-turn momentum, you have Celesteela, which can just be like the biggest wall in existence. Nihilego can put up toxic spikes and stealth rocks, and it can just be a specially defensive wall. If your opponent doesn't have an EQ, and Nihilego can actually wall most of a team. Shaman can do everything. Altaria can be either DD offensive or Cotton Guard defensive. It's just the team, while it seems hyper offense, also has a lot of versatility in it. I do think that it's just one of the best teams in the draft.
Yeah. Would now be a good time to give the ratings? I'll just go ahead and say it. I think this is the best team of the draft. This is the best candidate to be a champion.
That's what I figured. I have him as a sure finalist team just because I don't think any team falls into that highest category. But yes.
Yeah.
One of the best teams.
I did mark Swan's team higher, but after looking at it, I do think Bobby's team is better. I think it's the best candidate to be a champ.
Yeah.
Congrats, Bobby. You finally have your trophy.
Yeah.
Not yet. We'll see if he can do it.
Yeah.
Now we move on to his opponent in week 1, Thomas Sheehan and the Kevin Durant's. I think when I first looked at this team, you look at it and it's like, oh, this is a Thomas team. He's got Landers T. It looks really good. And then you start to look at the specifics of it. You take that scope lens and look at it, and it's got some problems. Mainly is he doesn't have a reliable hazard removal. Landers T does have defog, but
so does Hydreigon, so does Thundee, but you know
they're not reliable.
They're 3 defoggers, all 3 of which are relatively slow outside of Thundee, which does have the Prankster defog, obviously, but because Thundee is such a strong mon offensively, you don't want to waste that slot on defog.
Exactly. Yeah, these are offensive mons that need to do offensive things, and wasting a move slot on defog it's just not wasted, but having to use a move slot on defog definitely hurts the team.
Mm-hmm. Actually, now that I think about it, I think Weezing got access to defog this gen too, but
Did we confirm that? Because the heroes were trying to figure that out as well, whether or not they actually got defog.
I will go straight into Team Builder, type in Weezing,
type in
defog. Does not get defog.
So it's just Galar then.
If that got defog, that would be the best defogger.
Yeah.
One of the best defoggers.
Yep. Regular Weezing does not get defog.
I gotta say it. I think that Lando T was kind of a bad first pick. I understand that he really wanted Lando T. I really wanted Lando T. I think everyone really wants Lando T. It's a very valuable mon, but not when Cinderace and Dracovish and Lando I and Melmetal are still on the board. And Lele for that matter. Like there were so many options that are still on the board, and Thomas went straight for his comfort pick, which, you know, that's fine, but I think it weakens the strength of this draft a lot. Because things could have gone very differently.
He would have benefited from a later first round pick.
Mm-hmm. I like the Darmanitan. Darmanitan's really strong.
Yes.
I really like the Zarude pick. I think that mon's kind of slept on in the league format. I believe this is the second time it's been drafted, and the first time did not go so well. So I'm hoping to see it.
I disagree. Well. Don't get me wrong. Zarude is good, but in the league format where opponents are encouraged to bring U-turn, that only increases your opponent's momentum and only hurts by having it on your team. It actually takes away momentum from your team by having it.
I'm gonna have to agree with Ben on this one. This is one of those quad weaknesses that is just like too incredibly detrimental to actually have, especially with Zarude not having a way to actually boost speed. One of my problems with Thomas's team is that looking at it, or if you look at the weakness thing, its weaknesses look pretty covered, but then if you just look at these mons of like, oh, all of his big threats, you can just bring an Ice Beam or a fighting type move, and you can probably decimate most of the team. It just seems like he has to... It's weird to say, but the glue that is trying to hold the team together that he really needs to learn how to play with is Weezing by itself.
Yeah.
Which is just like not good, you know? Like you shouldn't have to be in a position where like Weezing is the one mon that's holding back your Hydreigon and Zarude counters, you know?
I understand what you're saying, because every single strong offensive mon on his team, aside from Darmanitan
and your Diancie counter.
Yeah, they all have quad weaknesses, you know, Steel, Fairy, and Hydreigon, Ice.
Yeah.
Bug and Zarude. It's rough for sure.
You don't want to draft a team where you're put in a position where your NUs are the thing that like have to hold your team together, because that means you have to bring your NUs to these matches to like do it. And I think that actually, since we just went over Bobby and Thomas, do we want to just scope lens into their game?
We can.
Because I think that this is a good position to like state. I think their game is a good way to show what I mean by this.
Mm-hmm.
Of when it comes to how he needed to utilize Weezing to like really try and shut him down. One of the biggest issue comes into play of he had neutral lines leaking gas, and I was told that it was so that it would stop Zen Headbutt from Cinderace, but Pyro Ball is doing like 40 or 60 less base power on like a 180 to 124 range. That's not enough to actually make that big of a difference, and I think that it's silly to not have EQ resistance when your opponent has Dougie, you know? There's obviously like a lot of other issues, like there were crits that happened. I don't think the Pyro Ball one actually mattered because Bobby could still just kill it anyway. And I think that Thomas made a lot of mistakes this game, which goes to, it doesn't like show the weakness of the team, but it more just shows like how it's a hard game to justify, because obviously Pison was saying that leading with Mega Diancie just instantly stops Galvantula, right?
Right.
Which would have been super good. But if you're not going to be doing that, you need to have a defog on something else. You can't bring a Darmanitan and not have defog on the team if your opponent has webs. It's just a lot of like prep errors. But then if we go into the game, the problem is that if you just look at the team and how the Nihilego just abuses the team, like the Weezing should have been the Mon to stop the Cinderace, but instead it was the Dusclops. But like the fact that your two NUs are the one thing that stops your opponent's like OUA from just hard sweeping you, and that you have to play them properly, I think falls to an issue of the team itself. You know, like if you look at all these things, Nahilego sweeps his offensive core with Power Gem. By the way, I did the calcs. At +1, Power Gem kills Lando, Diancie, Darm, and Thundurus. You can't have a team, you can't have your offensive mons on your team be that weak to one type of move. Like, it just doesn't work, you know?
Oh yeah, agreed. Also, more importantly, there was a opportunity for Thomas to win on turn 11, where he swapped his Mega Diancie out on Gastrodon to take like 60% from Scald on it. And one, Diancie takes the fucking hit. Two, the only way that you were potentially bringing this game back is if Scarf Lando just earthquakes through the entire team. And at that point, it was actually really likely. Galvantula had its dash broken, Avalugg was weakened. If Gastro took 60% from Moonblast, Earthquake could have won that entire game. And
yeah,
I don't know. I think that in part Thomas was just playing on the back foot this entire game, which, you know, on one hand, you could really attribute that to Bobby being such a like dominating like force this season, but on the other hand, I think that a lot of that is Thomas's own fault, and he's going to have to really step it up if he wants to stay in like the competitive grind this season.
Yeah, no, but I just more wanted to get across the point that like you can't have your team be that weak to one type or two. It's not even one type, to multiple types. It creates too big of a team building flaw that your opponents can take massive advantage of, you know?
And you have to play out of your mind to make up for that weakness on your team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Bobby did capitalize on that.
And
so
just to, you know, use a good example, Quinn, a team that we all agree is pretty high up there, has a lot of 4x weaknesses: Garchomp, Bulu, Caesar, but they're all balanced out. You know, Miltank alone with Thick Fat balances out Garchomp and Caesar's weaknesses.
Yes, but also I'm just saying, like, those mons by themselves balance it out. Garchomp's dragon weakness gets covered by Bulu. Victini's ground weakness gets covered by Bulu. Garchomp's like ice weakness gets covered by Victini. Victini's rock weakness gets covered by Bulu. Victini's dark weakness gets covered by Bulu. Like, that's what I mean. It's like all of your mons, like, while they don't have to form a pure defensive core, they have to be in a position where like your opponent can't just hard sweep you in one go, you know?
Agreed.
Like, you can't build a team around that. And like, obviously it's not like any mon could just sweep through all of Thomas's like offensive mons, but those flaws exist. And in a league format, if your opponents can like team build properly, they should be able to see flaws. And while yes, you can counter by building and using your other mons to like try and patch the weaknesses, the weaknesses are still there, you know? Like, a 4th grader's skull is easier to break than an adult skull because there are flaws in it.
That's one way.
There's no way. There's
you guys didn't hear this,
way.
but Tickle just said, what kind of analogy?
Yeah, but I think we've about hit the hammer on the child's skull. So,
oh my god!
No, you don't want to go. You don't want to go from above, Ben. You want to go from the side. That's prep work for you.
Of course, you got to hit the occipital lobe.
Yep.
Move. So that was the scope lens, kind of diving into this week's key match between the Denver Darkrai's and the Kevin Durant's. Then we'll be going back to the wide lens and
taking a look,
getting back into going back to the general survey of the drafts from the split.
I'll go ahead and say that I think that this is a team looking for its first win. I think we kind of spent that entire time also covering a lot of Thomas's team. I don't want to spend too much time on that when we still have a bunch of teams left to go.
I had it. I was kind of tied between a team with average potential and a weaker than average team. But I'm gonna go with a weaker than average team.
Yeah, team looking for its first win. My thing about this chart is that it gets really savage. It's like team with average potential, weaker than average team, looking for first win. 1 win would make the team proud,
it's a
and then
huge
it's just like
drop-off.
the last 4 would mean that like you know that this team isn't getting a single fucking win. You know, it goes goes from one win would be a good thing to, man, you're already in the dirt.
This shit is not my fault. You are trash.
Here's all the other teams, and there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's
Yeah.
Here's the power rankings. It
Actually,
goes
though-
you, the dirt, the worms in the dirt, then Mr. Popo.
Like this chart is just like, oh yeah, the last like 1/4. Yeah, no, they're not even gonna get a win. Even if they scrap against one another, all that will happen is losses. Which there are games where that happens.
It's true.
all right.
Moving forward.
I think we spent enough time there. Let's go on to Patrick Bruce and the Rotom Washingtons.
Still love you, body. This is a team.
Oh, look, it's the ghost horse.
He got the Ghost Horse. He's currently sitting at the BL tiering.
Which is crazy. If I may go ahead and just shit on Patty, I'm really tired of him seeing him draft the same like 6-7 mons every single season.
Is it Superior, Weavile,
Infernape,
Feeny on that list?
Infernape,
Is
Scyther,
he
and
taking
Regirock.
Oh, I guess he was taking Fernape, yeah.
Regirock too, every single season. It's always those mons.
And if it's not Regirock, then it's
Shuckle.
Shuckle or Registeel or Regigigas. Just another Reggie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There are some mons that hit good.
Would you like to go more in depth?
No, I think I'm good. That's about where I
They
stand
hit
with
different.
that. Obviously, like, Spectre or Feeny is actually pretty strong. They help cover for each other pretty well. He really wanted Mega Mawile. I don't think Mega Mawile is good. I feel like the last, 3
I
or
just had it
something
last
years.
split.
Literally,
Did
the
not
second
go
we
well.
moved it down from banned, where is Mega Mawile in OU right now? Like, is it UU? Is it a BL Knight or something?
Did you ask where Mega Mawile is?
Yeah,
Still in Gen 7, my guy.
Gen 7, yeah. Haha. But like in Gen 7, is it even fucking?
It's still OU, I'm pretty sure. If it hasn't been
Yeah.
banned.
I think there was a period of time where it was banned in like Gen 6, but
Oh yeah, no, it was banned in Gen 6.
no. It's an OU.
Uh,
It's not taking names or anything like that, but it's
yeah.
there.
I don't know. I like the Mew pick at, I think it was 8th. Mew and Infernape, both of those mons do really well on both the offensive and especially offensive. I should say
Yeah,
the
really
attack
good
and special
versatility.
attack. Yeah.
Both function as rock setters if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. They have a lot of versatility there.
Yeah. He was really excited about Scyther. So he's got 3 really good priority sweepers, with Weavile, Infernape, and Scyther.
You said really
Wait,
good.
Wait,
You said
priority. Oh,
quick attack.
man, what are we doing? Are we running quick attack?
Why did I
Quick-
think he had a
quick attack?
flying priority move?
I have no fucking clue,
Hey,
pal.
forget what I said about Scyther. He's got Mega Mawile with Sucker Punch, but that's probably the only one of the. It's the only thing that gives it speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Mawile it's rough. It's real rough.
I'm seeing this now, but Superior can't do its glare shenanigans paired with Feeny.
Mm-hmm. That is
So-
a big thing.
That's true.
something
That
that
actually
hurts.
takes out a massive Patrick Bruce special.
Also,
Other
guess
people
it
might
just
just
has
like
to click
scarf
east
their
on
thing.
to
but-
add on to that, Type Null is his only recovery is rest, so he cannot rest with Feeny.
That's true.
That was
true.
my immediate
Oh well,
thought.
don't forget Mew. Mew needs to recover. Roost.
Mew does get roost. But I don't know.
The
This
Swiss
is a
Army
very
knife will come and make its
this is a
will
very
make its
Patrick
presence known.
Bruce team, and for better or worse, like that's all I can really say about it.
What is Magnezone doing for this team?
Trapping steel types so
Is it
Mega
some-
Mawile can actually click play rough.
Yeah, getting rid of steel types for Mega Mawile, getting rid of steel types for Spectrier, maybe.
No, for Superior, that's what it is.
Yeah, for Serp.
And Scyther. Ahaha.
Haha. Again, Scyther is dangerous. Dual Wing Beat is dangerous. Do not
Oh no, I'm not sleeping on the Scyther
That is the
pick.
thing.
I would have drafted Scyther if it made it back to me.
Yeah, overall, it's a funky team. It's for sure a funky team. the two defensive mons. I mean, Type Malfini is a pretty good core, like in terms of just like, oh yeah, these mons thick. But
He's got 2 really good fairies.
yeah, it'll be how good can he utilize. I mean, Mawile doesn't have the weakness of fairies though. It'll be interesting to see how well he can utilize basically all of the mons in terms of like back sweeping. His Serp, Spectre, Weavile can all like potentially make the comeback. It's weird though. None of his mons are like. I'm not even. Mawile isn't even like a mon that can tank a hit and hit back. He doesn't have the slow moving offense. It's just offense.
Another thing that I had in my notes is he doesn't have a ground type.
Oh, does he actually not have a ground type? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really rough. T-Bolt does a number on his team.
Yeah.
He has
Superior's the one resist. Magnezone Superior.
Oh boy,
resist.
yeah, totally. Let me have my Superior come in. It's my tank mon.
He does run it as a tank.
He does.
He does, but like...
It's something, man.
He was an Arcanine away from having a standard Patty draft.
Yeah, that's why I took it 3rd pick.
2nd pick, didn't you?
3rd.
Oh, 3rd. Yeah.
3rd. It's wheel. It's the same shit.
Might as well. Yeah, did we give rankings on this?
I had it as the tournament's average team. A lot of funky stuff, a lot of potential. Put him right in the middle.
I would put him as the dark horse of this tournament. I think that it's a very Patty team, and Patty knows how to use it. Whether or not Patty has the motivation to actually try this season, we shall see.
He's got a lot more time on his hands now to actually put towards this split.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get some good results.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
then
put it
Nando
as
was
weaker than average, I think.
Oh wow.
This is a nice
Yeah.
spread of opinions we got here.
Yep. Just right in the middle. All right.
Sir
Moving on
Budkey.
to Sir Budkey and his noble steed last year. Oh, and the Wisconsin Weavils.
Team
We
is
all
bad,
know
I
it.
don't like it.
Last year went too early.
I told him
went too
last year
early.
would make it back to him. Not only did we make
Or-
it back to him, I said he could save it for like the 4th pick, and he still first picked it.
Urshifu Rapid Strike's way too early.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if Urshifu Rapid Strike. It would have made it back to him 3rd pick actually, but you know,
Would have drafted it.
it would have made it back to him 3rd pick, maybe even 4th pick. I think
I'm saying they could probably with Mike in here,
yeah, no,
probably
'cause
not 4th pick.
they were talking about it. He said that Mike said he would pick up Urshifu Rapid Strike if it was still there. That's why he picked it.
Yeah, Urshifu Rapid Strike's issue in League format is, you know, the fun thing about Bullet Seed and Icicle Spear is that they're not contact moves. You know what the not fun thing about Rapid Strike is?
It's a contact move.
Surging Strikes.
Yeah.
Then you just
Surging
run
strikes.
protective pads. Easy solution.
Oh my god, I'm gonna run protective pads on my mod and lose access to Band or Scarf or Life Orb or Z move or Leftovers or anything else.
Also, you can't run Z move Surging Strike because it's a 25 base power move.
You can't even run as a Z move because it's a move that wasn't out when Z moves existed, right?
So the code doesn't work like that. It doesn't
hard classifies as type and then power.
Okay.
The only problem is, 25 base power. And I think
25
it's the
base
strongest water type move that Mon gets because the other move is Aqua Jet.
Aqua Jet does more power with Z move.
Sure, 20 more power. Go fucking nuts. Fuck yourself.
It's actually only 15.
Oh my god.
No, I think a lot of it just seems like his team overall is lacking power. It's just every single Mon on his team is a Mon that could have been drafted later, which then leads to the issue of where are like the top tier Mons?
Oh yeah, 100% agree. Like, don't get me wrong, Celebi, Thundy T, on core, like on paper, nasty plot baton pass. Ooh, scary.
It gets Waterfall
Oh, it does? Cool.
and Liquidation actually, so
Nice.
Oh.
Nice. Still have to waste some move spot on that, but yeah.
Yep.
No, what I was saying was, Celebi, Thundy T, Houndoom. right? On paper, good Nasty Plot into Fast Mon Baton Pass, right? But Houndoom and Thundy T both get Nasty Plot on their own right. So what's the point of Celebi on this team?
Trick Room. It's the only Trick Room setter on his team.
You gotta really get that Rhyperior setup, man. Have you not
go
been playing
nuts.
BGC?
No,
you gotta
but
know the
Glass
in
data.
all honesty, this is the slowest team in the league by a mile. And he's only got one Trick Room setter.
Yeah, I think that's a missed opportunity. I would say maybe dropping the Trampa for a Trick Room setter.
Yuxi exists. Yuxi hasn't been drafted.
Yuxi
That would be
exists.
great.
So good.
Cresselia exists. You know, you could drop
Glacier.
you could drop Glacier for Cresselia. Yeah.
Again, it's a weird. It's weird. Like Glacier, just you're gonna want it to just try and trade 1-for-1, and I do think it has it can do that, but the team is just like missing like an actual power pick. There's nothing on the team where you're like, wow, that is such a good mon, you know?
What's funny is I feel like Bird would have benefited more for Houndoom, and Alex would have benefited more from Camerupt.
Yeah.
Trade can happen.
Trade could happen, but it's gonna be 3 weeks from now, so we'll see.
Yeah. He's got webs with Rakawim, but again, it's such a slow team that it really only benefits Thundurus and Urshifu.
And Houndoom, but Houndoom's kind of fast
yes.
enough on its own right to the point where it shouldn't need webs.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it, I think Silvally is fucking dick on the ground, ass in the trash, in the grass.
Yo, Parting Shot is so good.
I'm not paying 140 points for fucking Parting Shot.
Well, Alex did, so.
Yeah,
But
I
he
know.
gets all the typings. That's pretty much as good as having a Mega.
No, it's fucking stupid. And I understand, like back in the day when we didn't realize how Silvally worked in the League format.
Okay, wait. Yada, sure. Like, let me just put this in though. Fucking multi-attack, getting 40 extra base power is actually insane. Like,
my guy, I
Silvally
had it
can.
last split when it had multi-attack boosted. It still doesn't fucking do damage. The problem isn't
It
that
hits.
it does 30% more base power off a fucking 95 attack.
Yeah.
It's so weak. You can run
20.
You can run Swords Dance Flame Charge, and not only do you not one-shot shit, you also don't outspeed shit. Like, it's so infuriating to run that mon.
That mon's purpose in my mind is literally a Parting Shot bot.
It's Parting Shot bot and glue, and I think it's not OUB price glue, and I hate that it keeps getting picked up because, you know, it further proves the point that people will pick it up at OUB.
It's big glue. It's glue. It's pretty good glue. If you don't have an OUB, it is.
If I have the choice
It's
between
fine.
$14 glue and $4 glue, I'm not paying $14 for glue.
Yeah, but what if your mom like gave you a 20 and it was like you have
I'm
to spend
still
the money?
not. Then I'll buy like $16 worth in chips. What the fuck are you talking about?
So what are we thinking for ratings?
Honestly,
I think overall it's just weak.
yeah, I have to say overall.
There's like
it's a weak
nothing
team.
impressive about the team.
And
I had a team with very low potential, so a step below.
I think that, you know, with a lot of the teams that I shat on, they can easily be fixed by 2 or 3 waivers. I don't know how you fix this team. Like, just looking at it, there's so much wrong with it.
God, one win should make this team proud. It should be at like the second to the bottom, you know? That's the one change. It just throws me off so much because like I don't want to put anything under that. But yeah, no, I think overall it's a really weak team.
Oh.
All right.
All right. Now we're moving on to your team, Fernando.
Woot.
You wanna talk more about Rain?
Care to lead us in?
Yeah, so I lost Mega Swampert. Okay, so Torn T in Rain, Hurricane, Weather Ball, Powerhouse, Regenerator, Mon super thick. It doesn't die to one shot to like anything really. It does die to 2 Grassy Glides from Rillaboom though.
Nice.
That I think Scizor at BL price is super value. It's obviously doesn't have the defensive potential of the Ferrothorn, but I do think that access to the Choice Band Bullet Punch and, you know, having the quad weakness of Fire Bee offset is really good. Mega Latias is just a really powerful Mega. Obviously, I would have wanted Mega Swampert instead. Mamoswine was an OUB that was on the board. Nothing really there. Pin Urchin was there to... I had to grab a Lucky. I wasn't going to let a Lucky go any further than that. Like, a Lucky has the potential to sweep teams. In Rain, I can just run Thunder with it. Like, Pin Urchin is just there in case I choose to not bring Rain sometime. Pin Urchin can also... neat thing about Pincurchin, it has both access to spikes and parting shot. In terms of just like a nice supportive mon, it does its job pretty well.
Wait, Pincurchin has parting shot? I thought it just has memento.
Oh, memento, my bad, memento. Yeah. Those are all good. Mega Latias is again just a powerhouse with access to mystical fires and Aura Sphere nowadays. It's super thick, does its job. Gothitelle was there. There's nothing else to it. It's not like, oh wow, I want a Gothitelle. It can be in a situation where I can use it to take care of ground type mons, you know, for the Aleki or something, but it's not prio. Oh my god, I just thought of a set.
Is it Trick Gothitelle with rank target?
Exactly.
I had just thought of
We're all on the same page here.
We literally, it was like, we can use Gothitelle to take care of the ground types. It was like, wait, it gets access to Trick, and it was like, wait, we've been doing this forever.
And they
wait
can't
a second.
leave. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They have to take the ring target.
I love how we stole that team and claimed it as our own for like a good month.
It is odd team. Odd team. No, yeah, that's really good. It does have access to Energy Ball, so it does help. It can potentially get rid of anything in the way for the Aleki. Volbeat's there in case I ever decide to bring Volbeat, Baton Pass, a Nasty Plot to Aleki or Torn, you know. Those things can just sweep. Baton Pass it to the Latias and let the Latias Cosmic Power or some shit, you know. Kabutops and Ludicolo are just there because you have a bunch of low points. Grab a couple of Swift Swim Mons on your rain team. It can be used. I like Pelipper more than Politoed simply due to the fact that it has access to U-turn. I think U-turn is really good. It's just better in my mind. Also, I do think that a very strong set is Scarfer Specs Lottie or Scarfer Specs Pelipper. And the gimmick is you don't even like use the set rain for the rest of the team. It's there to just try and kill shit while it's there.
Especially with Waterfall getting boosted.
Yeah. It is there. It is not. Fuck the rain team. It is the rain team.
No, like that's the thing. I think like Pelipper by itself actually can just be considered the rain team. Hurricane Weather Ball on that mon is a threat. There have been times where I've seen it like just put in work. Yeah, but other than that, I definitely did. Mega Swampert would have been better on the team, but
Mega Swampert on this team would have
put it
over the top.
Put it over the top. Obviously, you know, not only Mega Swampert, but just getting the rest of the mons that Nando would have wanted, because the rest of this team is based around the fact that he didn't have Mega Swampert. If he had the Mega Swampert, he would be able to do a lot better. I told Nando well before the draft that I think Mega Latias is currently the best Mega on the board right now. It appears to me that he agrees because he picked it up. Really strong mon. Access to Cosmic Power, Stored Power, Aura Sphere, Mystical Fire. Just overall, this mon got a crazy buff this gen, and I'm really excited to see what happens with it.
Every mon on this team needs to be prepped for. There's not a single Pokemon that you can just shrug off. Everything contributes to the team. What else? Yeah, like it's you didn't get the full rain team with the Mega Swampert, but you can now do more with the team than just do rain. Like Gothitelle is a key point of that it can do a lot more to even help the rain team as well. It's not typically seen on rain teams as well. Overall, it's a really good team.
Moving into ratings on this team, Nando, would you like to go first? Give your unbiased opinion on your team.
Average. I think it's lacking defense. The main defensive bonds of this team are Scizor and Latias. Other than that, the team can just be beaten down, you know. I think that is a problem.
I'd say you're a weaker than average team, just barely. I think there's a lot there. ultimately it's going to come down to not only your play but your opponent's play. Knowing that you are a semi-ranked team, they're going to have to prep for that, and if they don't, they should just outright lose. If they do, then it's really going to become a game of, did they prep well enough for Regieleki and Torn T? And if they didn't, again, they lose.
I disagree with the lower rankings. I actually have him as a team with top class potential.
Really?
Despite not having the full Rain team, it's still a really dangerous team.
I think it's a
Tornado's
dangerous team
with the boosts, with the buffs, as well as just how fast Regieleki is and how hard it can hit. Having those headlighting the teams and having Rain on top of that is incredible.
I think it's a dangerous team for sure, but I think you can say every team on this list is dangerous. Every single person has things that I would classify as, if you play them well, they should outright win games. It's just a matter of overall looking at the entire team as a whole and seeing how it stacks up to the rest of these teams, especially the teams it has to face in the future.
Right.
That's where I see it as a little bit weaker than average. Moving
Fair enough.
forward, we have how do you read this? Prison.
Pismo.
Piano. Portland
Piston.
Trailblazers. Fucking weak ass team. A team not likely to win.
Finally caught its tail 2 splits ago.
Yeah, that was a hype moment that I completely forgot about. Man, I have a win.
Go ahead and lead us into it. What do you think?
Obviously, I think that Dragapult's really good. It got banned from NatDex. I tried to make Rex for that tournament and I failed, but knowing what I know about that Mon and its potential, I really wanted it, especially if I couldn't get Urshifu right. Tangrowth and Arcanine was a wheel pick that I used to get 2 really good defensive Mons to go with Dragapult. I think its biggest flaw is that it's not very strong defensively. Like, it hits really hard on both sides, but it can't take a hit to save its life, so good wheel. Togekiss and Greninja was not what I originally wanted. I actually wanted Sylveon and I forgot what the other water type was. I think it was Vaporeon, actually. I was planning on going for both of them. Obviously, both got taken from me. So Togekiss and Greninja came into play. I really like the Greninja pick. Looking at it now, Ashgren with Dragapult's really strong. Nidoqueen is kind of just a staple Mon. I think I draft Nidoqueen and Tangrowth almost every split. And that's just because, they're really solid Mons, both defensively and offensively, I feel like. They're just good glue. Kamala Harris is something that I don't believe I've drafted before. I don't know if I'm going to keep it on the team, truth be told. I'm between that and another Mon lower on this list, Slaking, on which one I'm going to drop from the team. Mega Manectric I had drafted for me by an e-girl. Don't know what to say. It's an OU price for a Mon that I could have picked up Jolteon for instead, but I'll see. It has a really good Volt turn kind of core with Arcanine Teleport and Manectric. I would have liked Lando on this team, but obviously Thomas picked it first pick. Metagross and Illumise are 2 Mons that I'm gonna have to wait and see on. I think that they have a lot of use through Growth Baton Pass and Illumise, and Metagross just being a very versatile Mon, being able to click agility or just be Stealth Rock or Choice Band, Choice Scarf, whatever. I'll just have to see in the future what these Mons do.
Cool. As far as in my notes, just Wicked Speed with Polt, Gren, and Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the best Dragon Steel Fairy cores with Polt, Toge, and Metagross. Typing wise, that's really good for additional typings to have. And then you have 3 of probably the premier UUs, which are Arcanine, Nidoqueen, and Metagross. There's a lot of really cool stuff here. I'm not sure how well they all synchronize together, but obviously the Fairy Steel Dragon Core does do that, and I think Tangrowth and Arcanine do work together well. Illumise shenanigans are always a thing. I see that putting in a lot of work. And then my last note is just find a different NU, which you will be doing,
Yeah.
hopefully. Please.
But
Yeah.
slacking can win games. Schluter, you used it to win a game at some point.
That was a long time ago, and I think I went 3-7 in that split.
I think I can just say I was looking at slacking, and then I looked at every single villain team I had to face, from Dan's Florges to Ethan's entire team to Nando's team to an extent, and man, I really do not like that mod.
You say that, but I know what actually happened was you were like, oh, it's Slow King, and then you just typed it in. But alas, you were wrong. No, I think the team's good. I do think that I almost feel like it's lacking in power. The only physically offensive mon is Last Resort, Sleep Talk Kamala, and that's kind of it. And I'm not sure what my thoughts about that is.
You're sleeping on that DD Dragapult. That's all I gotta say.
Nah, it's only the choice banded Kamala.
What I will say is I think that this is, like, going through me and Nando, this is a prime example of two very differing draft styles. Nando's very much about that 6-7 mon core that he can bring to every game, and I'm very much about, I want to have every single mon on my team make an appearance and do something. And it's just a really solid build, I do think the issue is that when it comes to offensive, you kind of need your Greninja to hit Ash form, or you're gonna have to use Metagross or DD Pult, which are all like really weird in terms of how effective they are, but they can definitely pull out some surprise wins. It'll be interesting to see how you're able to utilize. Man, that fucking defensive core is just such a pain in the dick. Oh yeah.
To deal with. It's a powerful draft. I would give it the dark horse rating. That's where I'd put it.
I had it as a team with top class potential.
You guys are giving me some very interesting. I have myself as a team with average potential. I think I am slightly better than the baseline. Actually, I'm not even sure if a team with average potential is better than the baseline. Yeah, it's not. The tournament's average team. I'd say I'm about the tournament's average team.
And that's it. We've gone through all the teams.
Yeah, we've gone through all the teams.
We know that everyone that has watched this video will get what they came here for. So, we'll call it there.
Good
wait.
podcast.
Yep.
Wait.
Oh, you're right. We got to go over Henry one more time just to make sure that,
Yeah, no, he needs to understand that Lele Mens isn't good.
Of course.
All right, Cal. Let's go over your shitty ass team. So right when the draft ended, I believe I texted Nando. I think Cal has a top 3 team. I have not maintained that opinion. Looking at it now.
You're telling me your opinion can change? What are you, a fucking liberal?
Cal's been playing OU is the big thing that I gathered from it. I don't know if that's true, but his draft makes it seem like it.
Yeah, no, the Swampert, the Moltres, the Slow King, those are all just like OU staple mons right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cal's one of those players where it's like, on paper, he's drafting, good cores. For example, Mega Venusaur, Moltres, Swampert, very good Firewater Grass core. Swampert's 2 times weakness to grass is obviously covered very well by Moltres and Venusaur, who both 4 times resisted. But I don't know, just looking at this team, the cracks start to form. I feel like this team loses to basically any flying type in the game.
So this is something that I kind of discussed with Cal a lot. I don't think flying is a true weakness of a team, because if you think about it, if you go to special flying type moves, almost any mon that isn't a flying type only gets access to Air Slash, and
Sure.
So therefore you're just on the special side, you're just looking at mons that are flying type mons. Going over the heroes, I think there's only 6 heroes that actually have flying type mons, and then only 2 of them are actually threats, being Togekiss and Zapdos, when it comes to special flying type moves. Because even Thundurus only gets access to HP Fly, you know? And then if you go into the physical side, there are all a bunch of people with Brave Bird and shit, and that would hurt. But then now you can say nowadays you have access to Dual Wing Beat. The problem with Dual Wing Beat is that a Moltres exists.
Mm-hmm.
So while there is a flying weakness on the team, flying is one of those types where like, man, you really want it as an offensive type because it's really good, because there isn't that much of it, you know? Like, not that many things resist flying, but then there's also not that many good flying type attackers, which is why it's so good. But with an 18-man split, I think that it has really pressed that pool down.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair point, for sure.
It's one of those weird things where I think if you're looking at all the other teams, I don't think it's as much of a weakness at all. Because like actually though, like let's just take Pison's team for example. What flying type attack do you have? You have Air Slash on Togue, and that's it.
Well, hold on
right?
now.
That
I have like Aerial Ace on Slaking. What's the problem?
yeah, but like that's it. You go to Alex's team. He has HP Ice on Thundy. That's
Fly.
it. You go HP Fly.
Well, he also has Savali. Let's just put that out there.
Okay, no, Savali. Like that's the thing. Savali is like an actual mon that you could say is like a threat, but like it's a Savali, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It is a Savali. It's OUB price glue.
Yeah, like Thomas and Tyler both have their things. Mike doesn't have anything, right? Mike literally doesn't have a flying type move other than Mandibuzz.
Yes.
Or
yes.
Air Slash on Keldeo, if we're gonna stretch, right?
No,
Not even a stab move.
Yeah, Quinn doesn't have anything. Quinn literally doesn't have anything.
Well, Quinn does have dual wing beat on Caesar as a thing now, but yeah, your point about Moltres still stands.
And that's where the Moltres comes in,
your
right?
point about Moltres still stands.
Yep. Jasper doesn't have anything. Ben
Jasper
has...
Jasper has
I have
more.
Moltres with Hurricane, that's about it.
Yeah, Moltres with Hurricane. Wait, what does Jasper have?
Minior.
Oh, Minior. Okay, no, Minior's a mon, right? But like going through, it's one potential mon that has a bunch of other weaknesses to it. Like I think that
agreed.
I don't think that flying type is one of those things. Like you can say a team is weak to flying type, but that's more of like a bonus for a team to have a strong flying type attacker, you know?
Yeah.
Than
agreed.
it is on a team to say, oh, it's really weak to flying or it's like really weak to ice, because the mons that are coveted are like the Weaviles and like the Torns and stuff that can abuse the weakness that exists, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
It's one of those few things where I think it's like it's better to say a team is good because it has that than a team is bad because it's weak to it. That said though, fairy weakness is an issue. Rachi and Venusaur are like, sure, I guess Slowking, but like
Moltres.
that's but like that's a situation where you have that's a situation where your two premier attackers are demolished by one thing, right? You can also say it. So the team is really weird because if you look at like, I'm gonna say the top four mons are Urshifu, Rachi, Venusaur, and Komodo. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah.
The problem when it comes to the weird thing about this team is that they're really weak to either to flying, fairy, and psychic, but then those four mons, this kind of goes back into the Thomas's team, they also cover for those weaknesses really well, you know?
Right.
Like they cover for each other really well, which
It's
is
a really good core.
yes. There's definitely it's flawed, but at the same time, I think the flawed aspect of it helps like compound on how well it could potentially work together if Cal is smart about how he utilizes it, be it through switching or funky sets.
Or just outright prepping for it.
Yep.
Also, you know, he clearly played with the Astoys V2 because he has the Urshifu Rachi core, as well as Slowking Galar, which is currently the premier future sight user in OU.
In OU.
Yeah.
Really brought the move back.
Yeah, no,
Really
I
did.
mean, granted, future sight, I believe, got a buff of like, what, 20 base power? That's what brought the move back?
Did it get a buff?
Yeah,
I thought it was. Let me check.
It
I think it's always been that powerful, right?
No, it's always been that strong. It got a buff in Gen 5 to Gen 6.
Really?
Again, the biggest thing about it is that Urshifu Single Strike exists in the meta.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why Future Sight is such a thing. Because what the fuck are you doing? Are you gonna switch in your dark type to get close combated by the Urshifu, or are you gonna switch in your Mon of Protect for the Protect to be broken? Like,
the fact that
that's
he's got
the reason why
both of
Future
those
Sight
Mon.
exists in the meta. But he has Urshifu's single strike, so therefore it works.
It's
a mode that can be run.
Yeah. I will say the one thing about this team that I actually did have a problem with is speed control. You don't really want to run a Scarf Urshifu. You do want to really abuse the fact that it can hit hard by running Band on it. So that's a bit weak. Komodo is there to basically just be a setup bot. Like, Scarf Komodo is a joke. You have Raikou, but other than that, no Mon on your team wants to run Scarf. No Mon on your team can really deal with something that's fast. Really?
Floette wants to run Scarf, but Floette's a bad Mon.
And also Floette's like not fast enough to like beat like
most things.
Scarfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird speed at 311, but
yeah, 92 is just
The
fucked.
thing is with most Scarfers that I think a lot of them are hitting 317 because they're 95 base speed, and it's not. That's what really hurts it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. The team has it just needs speed. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
The
team's
speed's
weird.
a good point. Also, while the defensive core is really good, I feel like this team is one of those teams that gets worn down really easily because his only hazard control is Moltres, and if that gets knocked off, that's not a good look.
No, that's true. Yeah.
he's got webs. That's
He does
something.
have
I do
webs,
think
but
I like having an NU Mon with webs. It's cheap, and then like every once in a while, and by once in a while I mean like 1 or 2 games a split, you can win a game off of just webs.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
mean-
Leovanie's not a web sitter that's sticking around. It's setting webs and it's dying.
It's setting webs in his kid in the hay. But and I believe me and Swan discussed this. I think I might have discussed it with you guys as well. But the big problem I feel like with webs currently, as it stands, is the
Boots.
Tims. The Tims really invalidates webs. Granted,
The
I don't with an NU web setter. Obviously, I'm not going to bring the Tims on every single one on my team for Leovani. I wouldn't do that because it's just a waste of items. However, if we go to something like, I don't know, Bobby's team, Bobby doesn't rely on webs for his speed control. He has faster mons. But the fact that he has the option for webs as well is what makes that team so fucking frightening. Cal doesn't.
not a
Like when it
strategy,
comes to
right?
Bobby's team, it's the issue of like, oh, I might have to like run a Scarf Mon to try and beat out the Nihilego or the Zapdos in like a non-webs team. But then Bobby can also just bring the webs, and then suddenly your Scarf or whatever is like useless.
Useless.
There's a secondary speed threat to it that I think is what really makes webs good, is your team also needs to be fast at the same time, which is like kind of counterintuitive, but it really helps play with the fucking Tim Scarf game. Like, because you only have so much money when you go to JCPenney, you can't buy everything.
You know how much
What is
Tims
it now?
cost? That's like $200 by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think for our last team?
I want to call this a better than average team. Again, when it first started, I would say this was like a likely top 3 finisher. The more I look at it, the more I think cracks start to form. Again, I think it's really easily fixed. I think most of these teams are really easily fixed. But we'll see what happens.
I also had it as a better than average team.
If he makes his trade, which I think is pretty much confirmed at this point, I would.
He's
give
been
it-
going back and forth on it, but yeah.
But if he gets the one that I think is better, it would be a team of top class potential, because I haven't used that one yet. But for now, it's a better than average team.
I agree.
I think we are all in consensus.
There we have it.
So we have covered every single team in the league. Ben, would you like to explain the 3 pillars of Pokemon just to wrap this up?
We'll get to the pillars real quick. I do want to introduce something that I thought would be fun to just keep track of throughout the split, which is setting a betting line, since we are doing the heroes versus villains theme. Going each week, keeping track of like who's got the advantage as far as going into the next week. because each week we're keeping track of who's got the advantage as far as wins, heroes or villains. So something that we wanted to try was establishing like a betting line, just for fun, to see what the line is setting to have the safest bet of people choosing 50-50. And it also gives the team that has the bet the greater advantage. It makes it so that it evens the playing field, so that it's essentially a 50-50 choice. So with that, the line has been set with the consultants of Zach Schroeder. It is set at +2 for the villains. So what do you guys think? Do you think it is going to be higher or lower as far as differential? Do you think the villains are going to cover and get more than a +2 differential as far as wins in this week, or do you think that it's going to be less than that, or do you think that the heroes
wins
are going
this week? So you're saying, will it be a 6-3 ratio, or is
I have
right?
to look at
So-
the teams more, yeah.
6-3, or
Or 4-5?
yes. So 4-5 would be the under, and then would be the over.
Let me look at the schedule.
We
I
have
guess.
Quinn first,
Yeah.
Patty, myself first, Dan, Ben first, I believe that's Salvi.
Salvi.
Alex and Swan. That's gonna be an interesting game for sure. Who is HW?
Thomas v. Bobby, which
Already happened.
Yeah.
Espo versus.
Espo
wait,
versus
is that
Tickle. Oh, that's definitely gonna be a match to watch.
Yeah.
Mike versus Ethan, also a match to watch, but for the other reason.
yeah, that'll be a close one.
And then who's the
Oops.
Sacramento?
This is just a wrong
That's
fucking league
Henry
section.
versus Cal, and then we've got
so
Jasper
Calgary
versus Nando.
Brandon.
He's the Sacramento Nido Kings.
Hmm.
I'll start. I'm going to take the under on this. I think there are enough close matches that I think the heroes will be able to keep it interesting. But I think it's still. I'm going to go with +1. I think it's still going to stay in the villains' favor.
I think it'll. I think it's 5-4. I think villains 5. I don't see the villains getting 6.
You know, I'll go ahead and have the hot take. I think it's gonna be Heroes 5-4.
Ooh. So we're all taking the under on this one.
Yep.
This is it's a tough week just because we don't know how these teams that have just been drafted are going to pan out.
Mhm.
But I think taking the under is the right call here. But it could very easily. I mean, we've already got one win for the villains so far. It could definitely be a really strong opening for the villains. You never know.
Yeah,
I would say in terms of the tier matchup though, I would have always put that as a Bobby favored one.
Bobby
for
was
sure.
the favored.
Yeah, and then if you look at the rest of these, I mean, there should be 4 villain wins and 4 hero wins, which is why
the fifth match is what matters the most, I feel like.
Right.
But like that's the thing. This was the 5th match. The 5th match was Bobby versus Thomas,
Yeah, agreed.
which is the reason why I'm gonna put it as a 5-4 hero or 5-4 villains.
5-4 villains. Yeah.
I don't think there's. Basically, I'm saying I don't think that there's going to be an upset.
I'm thinking that there will be because there usually is in week 1.
Yeah.
For example, I lost week 1 for almost 4 years until last year, and I was always the upset on that. I feel like so.
Are you gonna lose to Dan?
You know, I might.
Possible. I think Ethan's looking really strong against Mike as well. That could always be one that swings in the villain's favor.
It's always very important to note. Week 1 is going to really show who's shining really bright, especially not just from heroes or villains who's shining really bright, but just as a individual battler. For example, if Jasper and Salvi really show out in their battles, I don't expect it to happen. I don't expect Jasper to beat Nando, and I don't expect Salvi to who's Salvi facing? Beat Ben. But if the two of you lose, it's going to be very interesting to see what they can do going further on because, we've been shitting on them for this entire podcast.
You've never had that kind of momentum before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's the betting line. That's something that will be just kind of a weekly thing we look at as we are preparing for each week. just with how competitive the split is between the two conferences. It's something that adds a little bit more to it. I'm interested to see what other people think of this betting line, this spread as well, to see which side's going to take week 1. So,
Yeah.
We've officially
right,
beaten out the other podcast in length. Let's fucking go.
Oh, it's 11 now.
Slaughtered.
Yep. But yeah, we'll end the segment just talking briefly about a section in The Art of Competitive Pokemon, written by Mr. Jambad himself. The Art of Competitive Pokemon mainly focuses on Pokemon as far as like the Smogon tiers and the approach you take towards laddering. So it's something that takes making competitive Pokemon make it something simple, you know? And it's trying to break it down to something that's not as scary for someone who's a beginner or someone who's a lower tier person. And one section that I was reading about, especially in the beginner section as I'm going through the book, is the 3 pillars. So the 3 pillars of competitive Pokemon: you have to have knowledge, you have to have skill, and you have to have awareness. Now, knowledge is just general knowledge of the game, what is super effective against what a metagame looks like, what are the heavy hitters, what are the S tiers, what teams are going to be on, what mons are going to be on every single team you face. That's in just the Smogon laddering metagame. If we're looking at what I want to do, is I want to break this down into how it affects the draft league. So using knowledge of the draft league, what are the best OUAs? What are those UUs that could be up in BL? What are the ones that work as really good cores? It's breaking those down and having that knowledge of team building that puts a lot of emphasis on the draft as well. So he uses an example of a chariot, specifically with knowledge being the chariot. Then you've got skill, which is the horse. Now, skill is the decisions you make, the predictions that you make in the game, what is happening actively in the battle. The skill is the thing that can, if it's very powerful, can really drive the game and can work in essentially any meta as long as you have the right knowledge and you've got the right awareness. Now we get to awareness. Awareness is knowing when the right time is to use a certain skill. In a game that you may need to just sweep with one mon, you may not need to go ahead and make these switches or make these predictions that aren't necessary. The awareness is knowing what your win cons are and essentially picking what you need to win and executing that strategy. So all 3 of these work together in the form of, like I said, the chariot. So you got the chariot, which is the knowledge, the skill is the horse, and awareness is the charioteer. The horse can guide the chariot, but it has no proper direction without the charioteer. And if you have the knowledge of what to do and the skill to make it happen, but are unsure of appropriate time to deploy the skills, then your results will be inconsistent. So in order to improve awareness, one needs to ask questions, and the question you ask will depend on what you want to become aware of. So that's just something that I thought was really important to think about, especially if you're someone in the league who hasn't had a lot of experience and are looking for ways to improve throughout the season. Just think of what part of your game is lacking and think of ways that you can improve it. So do you guys have any recommendations or any thoughts to contribute to just that ideology?
I mean, first of all, we're not sponsored by Mr. Jambad. It's just a good book.
Yeah.
I think one of the best ways that you can improve at Pokemon, and honestly, I think one of the best ways you can improve, play OU. I understand that randoms is, more interesting. You get so much more of a understanding of how games work when you have team preview, because that is how the league works. And, there's a certain meta of, I would say, about 10 Pokemon that you're going to see in about every game, much like the league. Going off of the knowledge bit, you talked about how knowledge is knowing what the metagame is. In many ways, I think that if you put that into the league format, it's knowing what the mons on someone's team does, what their role is, whether or not they're likely to bring that mon even, I think would play into knowledge. against your
Yeah,
team.
and especially with all the new moves that a lot of these mons got with Gen 8 increasing move pools.
Mm-hmm.
What I do before every match when I'm doing my prep is I look at all 11 mons and I just look through their move pools and skim for moves that I didn't realize that they got and moves that it's likely to bring considering the matchup it has against me.
I think I'm the only person who does this, but I usually build a version of their team that I would bring against myself, and then from there, I build against that team. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who does this because it's a really stupid way to build. But it's how I managed to. It's how I managed to build so quickly. I already have an idea of what I think they would bring, and I prep for that.
Yeah, you're essentially shadowing yourself.
Yeah, but I don't even have to battle myself.
Yeah. But yeah, taking all three of those pillars, all of those will be improved, like Pison said, with experience. So if I know draft leagues aren't going on throughout the entire year, so taking the opportunities to put yourself in, immerse yourself in metas that you're unfamiliar with, even going into like low tiers, if you play a lot of OU and Ubers and stuff like that, all those higher tiers, immerse yourself in some lower tiers. Like I've been trying to explore NU just to see how those different mons work, that mons that I'm not really familiar with using. And it can open you up to some ideas for mons that you might want to bring in a draft.
Also, and I hate saying this because, you know, people are going to see this thing and be like, oh wow, let me watch Blunder videos and see what I can draft. You know, watching Pokemon content is probably the easiest shortcut to figuring out what's currently popping in a metagame.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to watch the video half the time because they just have the mons in the thumbnail. Just look at the thumbnail, be like, oh wow, Volcarona just made it to like top 100 like in like OU. Cool. And then you can take that knowledge, use it to further yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you can steal teams. You didn't hear that.
There are so many resources available to you. I mean, even Smogon forums is incredible. Just like they've got the viability listings, they've got good cores for each of the metas as well. There's so many resources for you to access.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little bit that I wanted to include at the end of this video. Ultimately, I want everyone in the league to find ways to improve. It doesn't need to be just the lower tier battlers of the league. I think it applies to the upper tier battlers as well, who are trying to find that next step towards maybe working towards their first championship, or finally making it farther into the playoffs after kind of hitting a slump for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of ways to improve in this game. You might think that you're near the top and that's good enough, but there are ways to improve and even get better in this league. So it just comes down to applying it, and if there's anything we can do to help, obviously, like, we're very established people in the league and we are happy to help because we just want people to get better at the game.
Yeah.
Because it makes it more competitive and ultimately more fun for all of us.
Also, and I know this is kind of counterintuitive to what we were just saying, but if you are playing a lot of mons, for example, I know Quinn, as we talked about earlier, just hit like top 100 on randoms ladder. Really impressive. Good for you, man. But if you're feeling as though you're burning out throughout the season, do not be afraid to stop playing mons outside of the league for a bit, because my only like championship season was I completely stopped playing mons outside of the league up until like playoffs. That's the only reason I did so well, is because I was so burnt out on mons that I just stopped playing entirely, focused entirely on the league format, and then I managed to win a split. Now, if you don't play too much mons, you need to gain that experience, you need to play a lot more. However, I think it's worth noting that burnout's a real thing, and you know, you gotta take care of yourself.
Oh, for sure. And another thing we got is the beer league. I think the draw 20 format is a good way to get people introduced to mons that they're not necessarily familiar with.
Draft.
Yeah.
I do have a much higher opinion of Nihilego after using it in the beer league game.
Yeah, and there was, I think, one of the first weeks in the Corona League that we ran. It was a meta where Sceptile and NU Mon for that week. Ended up being one of the highest usage Mons and swept and won battles for a few teams that week. So it opens up the opportunity to Mons that you wouldn't expect to be good to lead and sweep other teams, but it's a cool way to introduce yourself to new stuff like that and expand that knowledge that really doesn't hit a limit. And the book, he talks about it, that eventually the knowledge reaches a point where it's not like you've hit a plateau and there's not really anywhere you need to go higher. You never know. Like, you don't know where that plateau is. You don't know what opportunities there are to get a better knowledge of the game if you don't look. So,
with all that said, I think we're probably good to start wrapping this up. I am Pison, coach of the Portland Trailblazers.
yeah, I'm Ben, commissioner, Bronzungs, all that jazz.
My
Skinny
penis has
penis.
grown thicker, so I am not skinny penis anymore. I'm just penis.
Oh, hey, good for you, man.
Yep.
Wait a second.
Changes have been made.
Wait a second.
All right.
Adios.